All right, everybody, welcome to the Killer Main podcast series. This week is Vecna. We brought on another Vecna player for this one, if they would like to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm JoJo, and I make a living telling dick jokes on the internet, and I also play the Skelly Boy.
Would you call it making a living?
It's I don't get paid money. I get paid in laughter and being blocked on the internet, so.
Oh, I mean, that's still a reputable thing in 2025, so it's fine. I know people who've made whole careers on that. And people can find you on the YouTubes, on Twitch, Blue Sky, which I will have all of those linked below. I need to be more active on Blue Sky.
Yeah, I don't use Twitter anymore.
I mostly use it because I do a lot of polls, and Twitter is easier to get more numbers for it, unfortunately.
I use the YouTube community tab for polls.
That is true. I could start using that more. Huh. Maybe I'll get less.
I mean, it reaches the people that watch your videos more than Twitter does.
Yeah. Plus, I might be able to get more rational takes.
It's YouTube. Don't get too excited.
Okay, fair enough. I've been doing a poll every day for Chucky because I was curious. I've been doing Chucky versus whatever killer and who's stronger. I've been doing it for every single killer, one a day, and some of them have been eye-opening. Let me just say that for certain opinions. I don't know how 30% of people thought Hag was stronger than Chucky. I don't.
Neither in game nor lore do I think she's stronger than Chucky.
There were some weird ones, like Deathslinger was definitely a weird one, and Huntress, but yeah. But off of the topic of Chucky, to Vecna. Vecna, Vecna's been in the game for a year now, hasn't he?
Almost. He released on the anniversary for year 8.
Yeah, and wait, it was the anniversary. I didn't even.
Yep.
Wow, that is weird to think a D&D chapter was the anniversary chapter. No shade to it, but it's just odd. But the first question I always ask everybody is, how long have you been playing Dead by Daylight, and what brought you into the game?
Oh, geez. How long has it been now? October 2023, because I started with Knights PTB. Yeah, so... No, is it October 2022?
It would have been 2023. Yeah, it's 2023. I can double check that, but...
Yeah, it started with Knights PTB. So yeah, whenever that was, is when I started. No, it's got to be 2022, doesn't it? Well, I swear to God, it's 20.
I was still living at my parents when Night came out, so I think it was 2023. Night release DVD. No, you're right. It is 2022. Jesus Christ,
yeah.
Time flies.
Yeah, my first ever YouTube video was November 9th, 2022. So yeah. So since October 2022, I've been playing Dead by Daylight. And what got me into it was Ghostface. Somebody told me you could play as Ghostface, who was my favorite slasher, and I played only Ghostface for my first 40 hours in the game.
I need to do some kind of research. It's Ghostface is the answer a lot of people give.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize it was that popular, I guess, because...
We're the same age, aren't we?
Yeah. We're close to it, but yeah.
Ghostface is very popular with our generation because Scream was our slasher. So before us, the before our generation, there was the main ones, Myers, Freddy, Jason. Before them was Bubba, but for us millennials, our slasher was the Scream franchise. That was the one that came out when we were kids.
I guess maybe for me it's just because I didn't really watch horror movies until I was older, so it just that kind of missed me.
But that's probably why you hear Ghostface a lot, just because he was our slasher.
Yeah, I hear
for millennials.
I hear Ghostface and Pig a lot.
Yeah, Saw was another one that was a horror movie of millennials. Yeah.
Yeah, I was obsessed with Saw growing up. A little too much. I definitely did not get strange looks from my parents all the time. But so about it's 3 years. Jesus, almost 3 years. Time really does fly.
Hmm.
I remember when Night came out, I played a 15-hour stream of just Nights. Good times. But
I didn't play him at all because I was like, I'm gonna play this game and I'm only ever going to play Ghostface, and now I hate the fucking killer.
it's always
I detest playing that damn killer.
always the transition with Ghostface. It's always like I joined the game for Ghostface. Now I fucking hate this character.
So bad.
I don't know. I like the methodical gameplay he has. I don't know. It's I couldn't play it all the time, but like I like it as a
You call it methodical. I call it, God damn it, I don't have my power again.
it's yeah. I guess that's one way to look at it. But that leads into the next question, because you were a Billy main for a little bit. I want to say a little bit. It's been
About a year.
Yeah, about a year. And I know you did the video recently, but you've swapped over to Vecna as your main killer.
Mhm.
And the question that every main gets is why? Why Vecna?
Vecna has way too much that triggers the dopamine receptors. So first off, he's got a lot to his kit, right? With Billy, it's kind of just chainsaw and go. Like there's a lot of mechanical skill to Billy with your curves. The curves are the biggest thing that every Billy main has to learn. But with Vecna, there's just way more to learn. You have to learn the elevation tech, the insta tech, the vault tech. You have to learn how to control your fly so that survivors don't just vault right back over while you're recovering from it. You have to learn when to send your dispelling sphere. You have to learn how to rotate spells, what spells are the best for which situations. Like there's just so much that goes into Vecna. Part of what keeps people from playing him is what makes me play him, is that he's a very daunting killer. Like new people, like if you've never played Dead by Daylight, Vecna's not going to be good for you. And even if you have played Dead by Daylight, if all you play is like dash killers, Vecna's going to be hard for you as well, because he's just so much more involved than. I think the only killer that really gives Vecna a run for his money and how involved they are is Singularity.
Some would argue that, but I wouldn't. Yeah, I can see where I was going to bring up Singularity as a Singularity was similar for me when I played them a lot. It's just the dopamine of.
Yeah, it's the only difference between the two, really, in terms of like how daunting they are, is Vecna has a lot of micro and macro sense, while Singularity is just a giant macro sense killer.
Mm-hmm. Plus, a lot of Vecna doesn't, and this isn't to diminish the skill, but Singularity has a lot more setup. I feel which I guess goes into the macro play or the
100%. Yeah. The macro play for Vecna is all about your spell rotation. The thing I always tell people is if you are using more than one spell per health state, you are being inefficient.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the macro sense for Vecna. Singularity has a higher macro sense, 100%.
And I also know you're a massive D&D fan, so I'm sure that helps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
I never got into myself personally. Don't have anything against it, but it's just not my thing.
I always say the only people who don't like D&D are the people who have had bad DMs.
I've just never had a chance to really play, if I'm honest.
Mm-hmm. It's one of the hardest things to get into, because like you can't just, it's not just grab a couple friends and sit down for a night or two. Dungeons and Dragons is very often a commitment. And a lot of people might think that's cringe and everything, but it literally is. Like whether it's once a week, once every couple of weeks, once a month, whatever the case may be, you and the friend group you're playing with have to commit to playing the game. Yeah. Otherwise, it's not going to work out. And a lot of people can't do that, which is fine. I don't blame people who don't want to do that, but a lot of people are like, oh, it's just a game, you can't take it that seriously. But like, it's literally a commitment to your friends.
That's part
if you're not willing to commit to the game, then you're not going to get into it ever.
That's part of the charm of the game. I mean, I knew when I was in the military, I knew a lot of guys who played it all the time, because it was just it's a game where, especially in the military, when you have a lot of downtime, ironically, it's just something you can kind of do for a couple hours while you're waiting if you have to, and then reset it up. Because while people can show off all the fancy stuff you can do with D&D, you really don't need much.
Oh, you don't even need figurines and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The DM could just have a piece of grid paper and a pencil, and you could just do theater of the mind.
Yeah, pretty much. I think that's the reason why the game has lasted as long as it has, at least part of it.
Yep. Yeah.
But speaking of D&D, and we'll get into this with the adaptation thing more specifically, but actually, I'll ask you that later. But so Vecna's base kit has been adjusted. I don't want to say too much since his release. There was the
not particularly.
Yeah, there was the Mage Hand nerf after his release, which
Mage Hand and Flight of the Damned both got nerfed.
Yeah, and then there was was it a buff or a nerf, or I don't remember the cooldown changes they did a few months ago.
So they buffed the cooldowns of all the spells, because it used to be like a staggering like 42 seconds or something like that. 45 seconds. It was ridiculous, absolutely insanity. And they buffed it to each spell has 38 seconds. And then they buffed his fly. So his fly, I fucking hate the way this stupid damn ability works. Whenever you are flying, like you're in the fly animation, you don't have collision. So you can fly through survivors, they can walk through you, whatever. When you're coming down, so like if you cancel the spell or you cross over a pallet or a window, you gain collision, but it's a wonky collision. And what it's meant to do is it's meant to allow you to push the survivors so they don't just turn around and revolt whatever you've flown over. But it's like, instead of like being an actual hitbox, you have like this pill around you. And so the survivors can still go behind you if they just like push and hold like one of their side keys, like A or D. If they go forward with A and D, they can just go around you and revolt it. So it's really fucking wonky. I hate the way it works because it's very inconsistent. They need to do something to your hitbox. But yeah, that's the way they added that collision. Because it used to be you'd fly over a window and the survivor would just turn around, walk through you, and re-hop the window. And then it was just a pointless ability. At that point, you only used it for mobility.
Yeah, I mean, it got to a point to where I know some people... I remember when the dash killer argument was popping up, some people were considering Vecna a dash killer because of the fly.
Which, no.
No.
He's not.
And fly was definitely... It's funny because I saw a lot of people like crapping on Dispelling Sphere, but I think people started to learn how it worked. And I think more now I see more people crapping on fly than anything else.
What I will say, and I'm sure you'll ask me about this later, but there is not a singular part of Vecna's kit that is useless. And that's part of why I like him so much. And that also goes back to like the rotation of spells. There's a reason that all the spells are 38 seconds on a cooldown. It's because you're expected to use each one in the situation they're supposed to be used.
Right. It's not like Dracula, where Dracula is kind of...
Yeah, Dracula's literally, am I chasing someone bat form? Am I at a short loop vampire form? Am I at a long loop wolf form? Done. And that's why, like, whenever I pointed out Vecna in my video, when I did my video about why I'm switching mains, and people are like, well, if you like micromanaging things, why not Dracula? And it's like, it's not the same.
Dracula's much more like...
He's much more straightforward.
Yeah, it's the difference. Vecna's like, the way I described it is the same way I described the changes they did tonight. It's the difference between MacGyver and a plumber.
Yeah.
Right? It's like a plumber has all the tools they need to do the job. And that's impressive to watch still. But
yeah,
with MacGyver, you're turning a paperclip into a gun somehow.
Yeah, like it's literally like it is with Vecna. It's never as simple as I am at this type of loop, therefore I must use this spell. It's always, what loop am I at? What's the position of the survivor? Is the pallet up or not? Am I using something to assist with the pallet? Like it's all of those things at once tell you what you should be doing. And then even then it's like, okay, this survivor's at this loop, but then I know a different survivor is at a different area. So I need to say, like, so if I have the choice between Flight of the Damned and Mage Hand at a loop to get a down, but I have to think, okay, if I use one of those here and I hit it, I'm not going to have it for the next chase. So I have to think to myself, okay, where am I going after this? Like, you don't just wander around on Vecna until you find somebody. You have to think, where am I going? Where was the last time I saw a survivor? What are they doing? What's around them?
Mm-hmm.
It's so much more involved than Dracula. And that's not to shit on Dracula players. Like, I think that Dracula requires far more mechanical skill. His mind game potential with his Hellfire is you have to be good at it, because if you're not good at Hellfire, it's piss easy to dodge. I can't use Dracula's Hellfire for shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I miss with that damn Hellfire all the time. So I'm not shitting on Dracula players. I just think that he requires less micromanagement and more mechanical skill than Vecna does.
Right. And speaking of Dracula, because Dracula's another killer who's gotten a lot of changes since release, which has been good to see from Behavior doing this with newer killers. Because it used to be killer drops, there's some changes in the next patch, and then nothing. It's been nice to see that kind of change over the past year. But are there any changes to the current version of Vecna you would make to his base kit, to add-ons, his teachables, anything?
Oh, fuck, how much time you got?
We got all night.
So I guess I'll start with his base kit. Like I said, with Fly, they need to fix the body blocking thing, because it is very wonky and inconsistent and can feel really bad. Like, one time I was chasing a dude around Shack, and I flew over God Palette, and then I just watched him like a dumbass as he just walked past me and revolted the God Palette and fucking lithe away into the stratosphere. And it was just like, okay, I guess I'll go fuck myself. So that needs to be fixed. Vecna, and this is more of like a hot take of mine in general. I think every killer should just start with their power off cooldown. Like, I fucking hate how Vecna, like, and at the very least, Vecna should have his Fly and his Orb off cooldown. Right? If you don't want to give him his anti-loot tools, fine, I guess, whatever. But his movement and his info should be off cooldown at the very least.
Well, I don't think Vecna's strong enough to warrant them being on cooldown.
He's really not. And like, the beginning of the match's cooldown is 15 seconds, or 13 if you bring the spell storing ring. But like, I just don't get why that breather period is necessary. Billy and Blight can fucking make it across the map the instant they spawn in. Kaneki can just go and he's on your ass. Like, I don't get why Vecna doesn't. And again, like, this is with everybody. I don't get why Vecna doesn't have his powers. I don't get why Dredge doesn't have his teleport. I don't get why Sadako doesn't.
Yeah,
Chucky doesn't even have Heidi Ho off cooldown, does he?
He does now. They just did that in the last. It was an unlisted change.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like, it's just like, there's so many killers that just for whatever reason don't start with their power. And in my opinion, as long as Billy and Blight can start off rip, and Kaneki now that he's in the game, as long as those three killers can equip Lethal Pursuer and be on your ass in nanoseconds, I don't see why you can't let every other killer do the same thing.
Yeah, I really, again, like, I think I've had the same argument with most killers. I just don't get it. If Blight can and Billy can start with it, I don't.
Yeah.
Like, what is Vecna realistically going to do if he starts with his power? He's going to fly towards the survivors and probably not even make it halfway there.
Yeah, the fly lasts for, I forget the exact numbers, but basically you can make it roughly on a full flight. You can make it roughly 30-ish, 32, 35 meters, something like that. I'd have to look up Vecna's exact stats again. I've been working on a Vecna guide slowly but surely. And it's a lot. I was like, I'm going to make a little beginner guide. Even the beginner guide is like, where do I stop?
I would recommend, by the way, for that is if you are using the wiki, I would definitely double check the stats, because sometimes they are really inaccurate.
Yeah. I would have to like get people into
the Ormond wall, where the window is exactly 16 meters, by the way. If you ever need distance testing. Because
Vecna moves at 6.92 meters a second for 4 seconds. So that's About 14. So about 20. He can move 28 meters on a full fly.
Is there any?
Roughly.
There's no acceleration bonus or anything?
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah, he moves about 28 meters on a full fly.
Yeah,
give or take.
Yeah, that math checks out. Yeah, that's good. Try to do it in my head.
When I worked at a casino for 3 years, trust me, that you learned to do math in your head.
I had to do Chucky testing math for like fucking 2.5 weeks to get it all right, because we had to account for the acceleration bonus changes too. So it was not easy to get exact numbers.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to hear it though. You know the fucking octaves of the yells of the different skins.
The decibels. Come on. That's very common knowledge.
I remember when you fucking told me the decibels. I was like, this motherfucker knows the decibels of the fucking skins.
-4 for Tiffany. That's all I know. But I mean, that's fly. But I mean, what about? I think that the one I'm really curious about is there any changes you make to Dispelling Sphere?
No.
You think that one's perfectly fine?
Yeah, I mean, it could. It wouldn't hurt it to make it fly faster, but it doesn't need to.
Mm-hmm.
I think that a lot of times people kind of misunderstand the point of Dispelling Sphere, unless you specifically have the Vorpal Sword add-on, which makes it to where whenever the Dispelling Sphere goes over an injured survivor, they scream and become broken. Unless you specifically have that on, the Dispelling Sphere is just a straight info. Very, very rarely, somebody's going to be like, but you use it in Chase in order to get rid of their magical items. The only magical item you give a fuck about is Mage Hand. Mm-hmm. That is the only magical item you care about disabling, because it gives them 5% haste for 3 seconds. If they don't have that on, you don't care. And if you're like that desperate to like figure out what they have, then you don't have to use it in Chase. You can use it while they're downed if you want. So the two uses of it are either I have downed somebody and I need to check 2 areas at once. So you send a Dispelling Sphere in one direction and then you go in the other. Or I have downed somebody and I want to make sure there's no little fucking mosquitoes hovering around with flashlights. And so you back up a bit and then you send it in the direction you think a flashlight user will hover. And then you can check it that way. But a lot of people, what they do, and I've noticed this when I go against Vecna as a survivor, is they just shoot it off into the great fucking unknown. Like it comes off cooldown, and they go all, I'm pondering my orb, and they just fucking chuck it in a direction, and then they wonder why they think it's useless. Well, obviously it's useless. You're not fucking doing anything with it. My favorite too is when I did the Dwight Hardcore Adept, the Vecna I was going against kept sending his into the ground. Like I have no idea what the hell. Like I had the item to see it, and I would just see it in the distance. It would travel like 2 feet, and it would just start going into the ground. And he did that like 5 times that match.
Were you on the new Borgo? Were you on Forgotten Ruins?
No, we were on Eerie of Cox.
What the fuck?
Yeah. I don't know.
What an odd thing to do.
Yeah. And then I would change for his add-ons. Tattered Headband needs a change because right now it's fucking worthless. It sends your Flight of the Damned 4 meters further. If you're trying to snipe with Flight of the Damned, you're a fucking idiot. There's no you're not hitting snipes with Flight of the Damned. You can do if you do like the elevation tech, which is I can explain that a little bit later. When you summon Flight of the Damned, they summon at chest height to Vecna so that they can hit the survivors from like the neck up. Mm-hmm. And so survivors can crouch to dodge them. But if you position yourself on a lower elevation, where when they summon, the skeletons are closer to the ground, they're impossible to duck. So the thought process behind the Tattered Headband is if you get to a place like, say, the Nostramu main mothership, and then you elevation tech from the ramps, one of the ramps that go up to the ship, mm-hmm. into the ship, you could theoretically hit somebody who's further in the ship who won't expect it. But at that point, you're just throwing Hail Marys. And that's not a good, efficient use of your power. So I would change the Tattered Headband to either do probably do some sort of blindness effect, right? Like when if the skeletons hit them, they either become blind or exhausted. I was even thinking maybe it like breaks them for 15 seconds. That might be too strong for a brown, but just some sort of status effect when the skeletons hit you, or alternatively, you could like increase the casting speed to summon them, because then that can make things like Instatex a lot easier, which is where you summon the skeletons directly on top. So that needs to be changed. The Ring of... Damn thing's so fucking useless. I forgot what it's called. Legitimately, it's the most useless add-on right next to Tattered Headband. The Ring of Telekinesis. So this used to be that the mage hand would pick up the pallet faster. And then when people started bitching because they were getting hit because they kept pre-dropping like dumbasses, they nerfed the mage hand, and then they changed the Ring of Telekinesis to say, and I quote here, using the mage hand spell on an upright pallet increases your vaulting speed by 10% for the next 8 seconds. Nobody gives a fuck.
When the fuck would that ever be useful?
In very, 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 very niche situations with a hyper specific build. So the way to use this add-on requires a vault speed build. Specifically, Bamboozle, Superior Anatomy are necessary. You would pair it with the Iridescent Tome, which makes your fly block windows for 45 seconds, which doesn't count as a vault, by the way. And so you do those three things with the Ring of Telekinesis, and then in situations where you have like a pallet next to a god window, you can lift the pallet and then vault the god window, block it with Bamboozle. You vault it super fast because of the combination, and then theoretically you would be able to catch up to them, but not really. I'm sorry, it's only on upright pallets.
Yeah.
So you can't even use it to lift a pallet and use the effect.
Yes.
If you use it to lift a pallet, you don't even get the effect. Yeah, it's completely worth. Like, throw the whole fucking effect away. Like, there's no number buffs that could ever make this useful. Personally, because it has to do with the mage hand, I would like it to do something like, that was a base kit feature I wanted, to allow mage hand to break breakable doors. I thought that'd be funny. But I would use the Ring of Telekinesis to probably have something to do with a causing something to happen to survivors within the radius of a pallet being lifted or held. I wouldn't do Hinder, because you already have the Boots of Speed, which give you haste when you use the Mage Hand spell. So you could do... honestly, this would honestly be one of the perfect places to put Exhausted, in my opinion.
Exhausted, or I could even see... it wouldn't be... It's a brown, right?
It's a yellow.
It's a yellow. Okay, I was going to say blindness, but yeah, if it's a yellow, never mind.
Yeah, Exhausted would even be like if you use the Mage Hand spell and the survivors within, say, 10 meters of the pallet, they become exhausted for like 5 seconds or something. Like, that would be a pretty sick thing.
It'd be one of the few counters to Dead Hard at a pallet.
Yeah. Huh. It would it would genuinely be one of the more useful yellow add-ons. Like, there's already a way to cause Exhausted, I believe. I think it is...
It's one of the sphere, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one of the spheres. Oh, the Crystal Ball is also worthless. Increases duration of Killer Instinct. The survivor is revealed to you by the Dispelling Sphere. Yeah, I could have swore there was an exhausted one for the spear. Staff of Withering? Yeah. Staff of Withering. The Dispelling Sphere causes survivors to suffer from exhausted for 20 seconds. So there's probably a lot more. Like, you give me a day to come up with it, and I could probably give you like 5 or 6 different things the Ring of Telekinesis and the Tattered Headband can do. But those two need to be changed for sure. Like, the Crystal Ball is fucking worthless, but you know what? Yeah, I could see somebody, like a beginner, getting some use out of it. I can see people getting use out of it, but the Tattered Headband and the Ring of Telekinesis, you're never using those. Nobody's using those. It's just not happening.
Yeah.
The Cloak of Invisibility also sucks.
That's the undetectable after all your spells are on cooldown, right?
Yeah. You get it for 10 seconds. All your spells have a cooldown of 38 seconds. First off, if you're ever in a position where your spells are off cooldown, like all 4 of them at the same time, you've either won the game because you've downed almost every survivor, or you suck. And at that point, 10 seconds of undetectable isn't doing shit for you.
It's like the artist add-on that does the same thing if you shoot off all your crows.
Yeah. Although I had an artist jump scare the fucking fire out of me one time with that, though. She sent all of her crows in the very beginning of the match, and I was doing a gen, and she just walked up and yoinked me off the gen. I was like, what the fuck?
I mean, I like add-ons like that only because like it's a weird way to play the character, but I could see it maybe like I don't know, maybe make it instead of all 4, maybe 2 are on cooldown.
Well, even if it was like, if all 4 are off cooldown, you get it until a spell comes back, it might even be worth something. Because remember, it's 38 seconds. So like if you like shot your Dispelling Sphere and then quick casted like Mage Hand and Fly to the Dam, then you could use your fly undetectable towards survivors or something like that. And then you'd have undetectable for like 20 plus seconds, which might be okay. I don't know if that would be good, but it would be okay. Certainly not worth a purple, I'll tell you that shit.
So you did mention Mage Hand a little bit. Fly to the Dam, though, is there any changes you make to that?
No.
No,
perfect as is.
You think it's perfect? Okay.
Both, yeah. Perfect as is. Like I said, Mage Hand, I thought it would be funny if you could break breakable walls with it as a base kit, because that's an utterly worthless feature, but it would just be for the memes, honestly. I mean, I guess I wouldn't say worthless. Like, if you're on, like, Dead Dog, you don't have to walk your ass upstairs to break that breakable wall or something. And then I would probably give it, like, the Vorpal Sword is a 3.2 second break animation, so I'd probably give it the same thing. Either that or make Vorpal Sword also have the ability to break breakable.
I was going to ask, because I wasn't even sure if it could do that.
No, it can't. It would be funny, though. It just, like I said, it would just be some meme shit. You just fucking you spawn in on Dead Dog, look upstairs, punch the fucking wall out from downstairs just for the fuck of it. I would start using that to jump scare survivors on Gideons. Like come in from behind them and then fucking use it on the breakable wall next to them. Like, here's Johnny.
It'd just be Nemesis, but it would be like Knight to a degree, actually. That would be kind of what the card effects would be like. And then, I mean, any other add-ons? Because I know that I've heard, like, the Vecna community isn't very large, at least not anymore, which is weird. He was really popular when he released, at least decently so, not like super, but not like 10 levels of popular, but he was decently popular. But the community's definitely died out a little bit. But I've heard ramblings of people not enjoying his iridescent add-ons at all.
So if it was back when he first released, and this is something I noticed, like even with myself, a lot of us didn't truly understand how powerful those add-ons are when combined with builds, right? So like the Vorpal Sword add-on, the Dispelling Sphere breaks people who are injured for 20 seconds. At first, that doesn't seem like that big of a deal, like, ooh, right? But if you combined it with an anti-heal build, so for me personally, I just changed it after I just showcased it. It's now, I use Jagged Compass with Floods, Gift of Pain, and Nurse's Calling. So when survivors get unhooked from literally any hook, I see everybody's auras, and that unhooked survivor is sloppied. So then I can use the aura from Floods to track where the survivors are going to heal. If I lose track of them, then nurses will show me, and then I can interrupt the heal with Dispelling, which is a gigantic pain in the fucking ass, and honestly, legitimately causes survivors to rage quit, because they can never reset. It's almost impossible to reset. If you combine that with the Glass Eye to make the sphere bigger and faster, Or you can combine it with spell storing to make the cooldown shorter to just, again, be a complete pain in the ass. The pallet break of Vorpal Sword is not as good as pallet lift, but you can technically put it on an anti-pallet build to just with brutal strength and Spirit Fury. It doesn't charge Spirit Fury, unfortunately, but if you end up against a lot of I use Blood Favor, Undying, Dissolution, and Brutal on my or Thwack. You can trigger Thwack with the Vorpal Sword break, by the way. So you can do that, and then the Eerie Tome, there's the window blocking build with Bamboozle, Superior Anatomy, etc., etc. So you bamboozle one window, or you fly through one window, block it for 45 seconds, bamboozle the other one. The only iridescent effect that is complete and utter trash is the Eerie Tome's Flight of the Damned effect, which lowers the skeletons and then reduces it to 2 skeletons. Absolute garbage. Complete and fucking utter just trash. But outside of that, yeah, the Eerie add-ons are pretty damn good. I think for Eerie Tome, I would make it 3 skeletons, and it would be fine.
I know when, especially when Vecna first released, and I talked about this a bit with Archie, where I feel like the idea behind Vecna's add-ons were, and maybe I'm stretching this a bit, but I still think the idea they were going for was to make it kind of like you can build Vecna the way you want, like a D&D character.
Yeah, that is exactly the idea. There were ideas tossed around that I didn't particularly like, where people were like, well, what if add-ons completely change the spells to something else? And I was like, then you're making them too complicated. Then you're completely shifting the and also you run the risk of old Freddy, where because an add-on gives a certain spell that might be objectively better than a different spell or objectively more fun, then people will start running only that add-on. Yeah. And then they'll feel upset because they feel like they can only ever run that add-on, which is what happened with Freddy and his Dream Palettes. People found the Dream Palettes more fun to play with, so they always ran the Dream Palettes, but then they got pissed off because they couldn't ever run anything else but the Dream Palettes. So I don't like that idea, but I do like how much the iridescent shift the effects of the spells in a way that allows you to make dozens of builds with Vecna at this point.
Yeah, and even now, what are your thoughts on Potion of Speed?
I am still testing it. Okay. I have not noticed a massive difference when using it. Again, it is only 0.5 seconds, but I think it's helped with the body blocking problem. I think. Well, but I'm not entirely sure.
But my point with it is because I know some Vecna players who love the add-on, some who are very indifferent to it. So, and I've noticed this with a lot of, and again, it's a small community, but every Vecna player I've talked to has differing opinions on what they would consider what add-ons you should be using or which ones they enjoy using.
I think most of us agree that his best add-on combination is spell storing and Pearl of Power, which results in shorter cooldown of the spells. But outside of those two, yeah, everybody's got different preferences. Outside of those two, I'm just personally, Vorpal Sword is my favorite add-on in his kit, just for the dispelling sphere effect. But yeah, there's some people, I've met a couple of people who love Potion of Speed. I know one Vecna player I came across on YouTube swears by Elven Boots, which is the casting Mage Hand gives you 5% haste for 2 seconds. Absolutely swears by them. So yeah, you can literally build Vecna. It feels like there's 25 different ways to build the character. He's so fucking versatile.
Which is weird because I'm curious, because this is one of those things with game development you'll never know, but I'm curious if they did that on purpose. Because
I assumed that they did it to the best of their abilities, yeah.
Because that's not to say like other killers don't have build variety, because a lot do, but Vecna seems like he was built from the ground up to have a lot of build variety, and I feel like that was to fit with the thematic of him being from the D&D chapter, because that's such a core thing to that franchise.
If only they did that with the survivors' outfits instead of just giving us 2 jackasses.
We'll get to the survivors here in a second, because I do want to talk about the teachable perks, because this is something people don't talk about enough, I feel. Vecna's teachables are Langwind,
Languid, Dark Arrogance, and
not Franklin's, Weave Attunement. Basically Franklin's at this point.
Basically, yeah. You'll hardly ever see somebody running Weave without Franklin's, yeah.
So these perks have gone through the fucking ringer. That's what I'm going to say. I think the one that I want to talk about first, though, is probably Dark Arrogance, because I think it's the least egregious of the three, and the most simplistic. And with some of the changes happening to the game, I actually have hopes that Dark Arrogance is going to become better within the next year. Because the problem Dark Arrogance has isn't even the stun thing, because the killers that use it, which are Xenomorph uses it, Chucky uses it, I can't think of anyone else off the top of my head, but it's basically killers that already don't get stunned very often and can like leverage the fact that they can vault faster. And those are Chucky and Xenomorph are the two I know of, but the most that use it to a decent degree. Because if you're getting stunned on Chucky, you're playing Chucky wrong. Just saying.
Yeah.
Same with Xenomorph and Nemesis, the problem Dark Arrogance has, though, is that they can't buff the number on it too much because of its ability to be comboed with other vault perks. And I think that's something. And I know we have differing opinions on the haste and hinder change, and I know that's not what this discussion is necessarily about, but I feel like with how the game is changing, because they also did this with Forever Entwined and Fire Up recently, where those two can't be well, they can, but to a certain degree, there's a cap. So I'm curious if maybe throughout the next year, we're going to start seeing this with a lot of different other kinds of perks.
God, I fucking hope not.
To allow them to maybe buff up things like Dark Arrogance. Because
the thing is that, okay, so like the problem is that it just kills build diversity. Like that's why I hate the haste and hindered effects. Like, yeah, it's future proofing perks that they put in the game, and in the future, like, oh, if haste and hindered can't stack, then we can just release wild ass shit, and it won't be a problem being comboed with stuff. But then, like you said, what's to stop them from forbidding everything else in the game from stacking? Like, why would you ever run another haste perk when this haste perk fits perfectly to almost every situation and gives a dickload of buffs? It's going to be the same thing with Volt Speed. I don't want Dark Arrogance to change. I don't really want any of his perks to change. His teachables are fine. Honestly.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I think Weave Attunement after the adjustments it's gotten is fine, and then what's the Languid Touch is honestly slept on. If I'm honest,
I don't understand how it became slept on, because we universally agreed on its release that it was the best anti-exhaustion perk in the game.
It's the same. Go ahead. Go for it. I was gonna say it's the same reason most exhaustion perks are kind of slept on. It's because the effect is not apparent.
Yeah. You can't tell when a survivor is becoming exhausted. I have always thought, it might be a hot take of mine, but I've always thought that like certain status effects you apply to the survivor should have either the symbol appear next to their portrait, or you should be able to like see something that showcases that they're being that way. So like, I always thought if somebody was exposed, their character should glow red. So that they're an insta down. If you like blind a survivor, there could be like a black cloud around their head or something, not visible to the survivor themselves, but there could be like a black cloud around their head. If they're exhausted, maybe they start limping a little bit or something like that. No speed change, or if they're hindered, you could do something like have the animation be them shuffling their feet, just something to visually indicate to the killer that something's happening, so that the killers, like, more killer perks would be used. Because Languid Touch is honestly like a fucking A tier perk. Like, you shut down so much shit with Languid Touch. It's insanity. Actually insane.
I remember I was running it one match, and a survivor was running Sprint Burst, and they were doing that thing that a lot of Sprint Burst players do, where they walk until you're right next to them and Sprint Burst away. I was running Languid, and it pissed me off so much. But I think my suggestion has always been a really simple thing. Just give a score event for it.
That would be cool too. Yeah.
Yeah, just add a little, because Blight has this with at least he used to, where it gave a score event if you revealed the aura with one of his add-ons. Even if you didn't actually see the aura, it still gave you the score event.
Yeah.
So like if you apply blindness somehow, whether it's third seal or I don't know, like Clown's bottles, you get like, I don't know, 50 blood points for it or something.
Yeah.
Like I think that could be an easier way to do it, because again, that's the problem I think Languin Touch has, and that's the thing. Like I think genetic limits, while also a very good perk that I don't see nearly enough, honestly, has the advantage of once they're injured, you know they're exhausted.
Yeah.
Languid's also like, it's not a bad information perk. Like, okay, let me rephrase that. It gives you information, just not pinpoint information. Right? If you see Langwin go on cooldown while you're doing nothing, like just walking around the map, you know someone within that range has disturbed a crow.
Yeah.
Now, are you going to be able to triangulate exactly where they are? Probably not, but you know they're there.
Yeah.
Which might get you to start looking around more, and you can get something off of that. Like Langwin again, I don't understand how I do not see it very often, especially after the buff it got.
It's just an incredibly strong perk. Severely slept on by the killer roster.
Yeah, it counters life, it counters dead hard. The only thing it doesn't counter is sprint burst. But even then, that's dependent on a lot of situations. Sometimes it will. It counters balance too. Now, with it being bugged, I think it's not bugged anymore, right? They fixed it.
I have no clue.
I don't keep up enough. Every week something else is bugged. I don't know.
Yeah, every time I open up a patch note, there's like 77 fucking things in the bug fix list. I just don't read them anymore. I quit reading them. I was like, so yeah, I wait for somebody to tell me if it's been fixed.
And we might talk about a little bit more about this during the adaptation section, but you did mention the troop. So, do you got opinions on them?
I was so incredibly disappointed that all we got was a human and an elf. Like, I could not figure out for the life of me. Like, I understand, like, a gnome or a dwarf might have been hard to put into the game, right? Because, like, they already, like, did a massive thing putting Chucky in the game, who is not like other killers, right? He's super tiny. It's in third person, right? So I get it. Putting a gnome and a dwarf survivor might have been difficult, or a halfling, right? Those might be difficult, might be weird, you're basically at that point, you are introducing a pay to win survivor, which up until this point, that has only ever happened with perks, never with who the survivor is completely. So I get that, but I don't understand how we couldn't have a lizard man, a half orc, a
dragon,
dragonborn.
Yeah.
You know, like all those are like super tall, but they've never had a problem adding super tall survivors in before. We've got Felix, we've got Jeff, who's tall. I think Jonah's pretty tall as well. So it's like, I don't understand how we just ended up with a human and an elf. But then beyond that, we didn't just get a human and an elf. We got a human and an elf with 76 outfits that all look the same except they're different colors. And I was just so unbelievably disappointed with how little customization options we got for the survivor. We could have gotten so much more. Even if they stuck with the human and elf motif, we could have gotten more humans and elves. You know, with different faces and different outfits and different names and stuff like that. We could have gotten more. And I feel like they squandered that opportunity to provide much more with the troops adaptation. But the perks are perfectly in theme. I think the perks are pretty cool, except for Still Sight. I don't particularly like Still Sight.
I as much as I hate Still Sight because it counters one of my favorite things to do, I do think it should be buffed. I think
it should be. You should be able to use it while working on a gen.
I could see maybe working on a gen or while you're healing, but I think the biggest thing it needs, I think it should just go down to 2 seconds. I think 4 seconds is entirely too long for what it does.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I think you could keep it at 4 seconds, but if it was like a recon thing that you got on like a generator or while you're healing, then I think it would be fine. But yeah, Mirrored Illusion is nice and hilarious. Bardic Inspiration is a slept on perk. I don't think people realize how powerful that great skill check bonus is. It's super fucking strong, man.
Yeah,
Like I don't personally use it because I can't ever use it without my solo queue teammates thinking that I'm memeing and refusing to do the fucking gens. Or killer players getting annoyed because they think that I'm trying to meme and tunneling me out. That's why I don't use it anymore. But it's a super slept on perk. It's very powerful, very powerful.
It's funny because it got a change from I think it was 60 seconds before, and then it changed to 90. And I remember so many people complaining about that change when it was a buff, technically. Like the cooldown went to 90 as well, but the effect also lasted for 90.
Yep.
But people got mad because you couldn't meme with it anymore. That's often. Yeah. So after that happened, I don't think I've ever seen it outside of Chaos Shuffle.
No, I mean I've seen it a few times. People like to put it on Jeff and Kate.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Because they're the musician. Yeah, people put it on Jeff and Kate, and then of course people put it on the troop. But yeah, no, like I said, I stopped using it because my solo queue teammates think I'm throwing the game. So they'll fucking like throw the game as well because the people who play this game are fucking idiots. I'm sorry. I'm sure some of you were fine, but I have been trying to like not quit Survivor because I want to actually keep up with how it feels to play Survivor so I can have what I feel is an informed opinion. And my God, solo queue Survivor, these people are fucking stupid.
I was playing the event last night. And I don't play Survivor very often, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to play Survivor tonight. Played the event last night. I was running my Champion of Light build. You know, people can shit on me for it or whatever. But I was running my Champion of Light build, playing against Sadako. I ran the Sadako. I timed it. I ran her for 3 minutes. Do you want me to tell you how many gens got done?
I'm going to guess 0.
2. 2 gens
in
got
the
done.
event.
In the event, yeah, 2 gens got done. And then I proceeded to get tunneled out.
Yeah,
because
yeah, it's dude, they're just fucking idiot. I had a healing build on, and we were against a Kaneki. I ended up actually going into their stream. They were pretty sweet, but we were against a Kaneki, and I had this Thalita and this Meg who had some Boon exponential breakout wiggle Sabo duo thing going on, and they would get downed and I would unhook them, and I had will make it botany, so it literally takes like fucking 5.5 seconds to heal, and I would try to heal them and they would refuse to fucking heal, and they would just run toward Kaneki because he downed the other one, so they would run to try to get this wiggle off value Sabo shit. That person would go down, the other person would get hooked. As the other person's getting carried to the hook, I'd go save the other one. They would refuse to heal, run, throw themselves at the killer to try to get value off of this build. They'd go down. The other person would get hooked. They'd get picked. It was just a fucking vicious cycle until both of them died. Like neither one of them wanted to. There is no healing in Bossing Say. They refused to fucking heal and just wanted to throw themselves at the killer over and over again. And my poor fucking Vittorio is doing generators trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. So we died. Or we got the Kaneki got a 4K on that one. And that's just a tame example of the stupid shit that I have seen. I'm not even talking about like make sure that you're not in a dead zone levels of like common sense. I'm talking about legitimately just dumb fucking decisions that people make. They don't heal. They don't go for saves. They crouch in corners. They hide in lockers. Like stupid. Actual stupid fucking people. I
was running my autodidact build last night, and worst mistake of my life. I swear, there's a reason I stopped running that build. It's not because it's bad. The build's actually pretty decent. Problem is, whenever I run it, no one wants to be healed.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, I guess I'll go fuck myself. All right. It's just
I stopped running Deliverance and Second Wind because I could never get any value of them because of teammates.
Yeah, it's
Deliverance. I would the killer would either always find me first, which is way too often an occurrence. Or I wouldn't be able to get an unhook, or the teammates would lead the killer to me, which that one I'm not too mad about, because like, unless you're running Bond, you really don't know, right? You're just trying to get away. Not that big of a deal. So that's why I stopped running Deliverance. But then I stopped running Second Wind because nobody ever wants to get healed. I had a fucking team that wouldn't heal against an Oni.
I was against Kaneki last night on Badham, and I had a team that wouldn't heal. It was
just stupid fuck. Anyway,
whoever told the community to not heal against Kaneki, I want to find them.
I that was my original advice, because I was like, he gets a free hit regardless. But then I was like, whether you're healed or not, he's going to try to do the enrage thing so he can get the faster leaps into 3 tokens. So you might as well heal.
Well, also, a lot of Kanekis are... I don't have a word for it, but it's kind of like scamper brain, because you don't always have to do the auto hit. The auto hit actually puts you on a long... they gain more distance if you do the auto hit, because you fully go on cooldown. There's that long-ass animation, blah, blah, blah. So if you heal and you make them want to do the auto hit or think they can, 9 times out of 10, you'll actually get more distance than you normally would.
Yeah, you'll get more time to make it to a safer loop, yeah.
But they just refused to heal, and I didn't get tunneled out that match. I almost did, but a Jane randomly showed up and took aggro. It was great. But yeah, solo queue's been fucking ridiculous. I know some people enjoy it. I just can't. I try. And it sucks too, because I'm in the same boat where it's like I want to have an informed opinion about the other side, but I just can't bring myself to play the role that much. I just don't have fun with it.
Yeah. And then like, if you get rid of like solo queue teammates, like if you're just like, we just get rid of that part, getting hit when I shouldn't have pisses me off. Oh my God. You want to see me almost fucking like, I hardly rage at this game anymore. The other night, I screamed my voice hoarse because I kept going up against killers with 100 ping, 150 ping, 200 ping. I was getting hit through pallets, through fast vaults, through fucking God. Like, it was just the most... I could not avoid getting hit. I was so pissed. I was so fucking pissed. I hate when I play everything correctly and still get hit.
Yeah, it's just a frustrating mess, and that's the thing. It's like I empathize with survivors who say solo queue sucks, because it does. But as we talked about before, there's really nothing you can do to fix that. Most of the time, it's not lack of information. It's just, and I'm not going to sit here and say that I never do it either. But it's just dumb plays. Everyone makes dumb plays.
Well, solo queue sucks because all 4 people who load in have a different idea of how the game should be played. And on top of that, and I'm actually going to make a video about this pretty soon. I thought about it last night. Tome quests. People are doing tome quests. And I don't know if you've ever read all of those tome quests.
I have.
But a lot of them require you to throw the fucking game.
That's why I hope that.
Open 10 chests, cleanse 5 totems, be chased by the killer for 76 seconds, hide within 10 meters of the killer for 35 seconds. Like, what the fuck do you mean, bro? So, like, a lot of those tomes require people to straight up throw the game. But the good thing is that with the introduction of the new quest system and tomes no longer, like, new tomes no longer being made, there's a very solid chance that solo queue is getting shadow buffed by that, because less and less people are going to be attempting to do tome quests. So... who knows? I'm not saying it's going to get 100% better, but it might get better.
It really depends on what the quests end up being, because we only saw a few of them on the PTB. But I'm hoping it's like, I'm hoping there's not ones that are like, do 5 totems. Like,
yeah.
Open 10 chests. Okay. Yeah. In one match.
In one match, exactly.
All right, everybody bring a coin. We're doing this.
Bro, you never saw me more tilted than when I was grinding out tome quests and I had to open one more chest, and so I brought a shiny coin, and some jackass would go to every goddamn chest before I get there and open it.
I was doing the the event tome last night. I haven't done any of the survivor ones, and the first one on there is do a generator. You have no idea. It took me 3 games to actually finish a generator because I kept getting tunneled, or I was constantly in chase, or I just like couldn't actually finish one. I would do like one like 90% and not finish. And then I finally did one, and then the realization struck me. It doesn't count blood generators.
Yeah.
I wasn't streaming or anything. I legit almost lost my fucking mind.
Yeah. Yeah. This I sincerely hope that the representatives at Behavior saw how we all reacted to the way these blood gens were done, and they figure it the fuck out. Because
again, I think the thing with this is a lot of us liked the idea.
I don't think I've met a single person who didn't love the concept.
Mm-hmm.
All of us hated the execution.
Yeah, even me, as someone who's been enjoying the mode, I hated the execution. Because, like, I would love to run Fire Up and Coup de Gras, but I can't. Or play Pig, but I can't. It's... But, back to Vecna a bit. Speaking of that, but builds, because I know you mentioned a few... do you have any particular builds that you would recommend others be running?
Oh, fuck. Yeah, actually. So if you're... Jeez, let's see here. So if you want a build that is basically completely unfair, it's the Shaman Vecna build. You run Blood Favor, Undying, Haunted Grounds, and Retribution. The Haunted Grounds and Retribution. First off, Blood Favor is Vecna's best perk. Mm-hmm. It works with him in a way that it doesn't work with literally any other killer. Because Vecna, a lot of people don't know this, but Blood Favor procs anytime a survivor is injured. Anytime. So if they get eaten by a mimic, if they use your eye or your hand to teleport, if they get hit by Flight of the Damned, all of those count for Blood Favor. So it blocks pallets. And then, like, if Blood Favor is down, you still have Mage Hand available. So, like, Blood Favor is just one of Vecna's best perks in general. But the Shaman Vecna build is good. I usually just go with the default Spell Storing Ring Pearl of Power. The Anti-Heal Vecna build is Vorpal Sword with Glass Eye for the add-ons. And then, like I said, right now I'm trying out Jagged Compass, Gift of Pain, Floods of Rage, and Nurse's Calling. But you can trade the Nurse's Calling for Corlophobia if you really wanted to. Mm-hmm. You could trade the Floods of Rage for Sloppy Butcher, which is also fine. Those 2 perks are interchangeable. You have the... Of course, Quad Slowdown works on Vecna, but that works on everybody. You could do the Aura Reading build, which is the Lantern of Light with Oracle Horn, which makes it to where whenever survivors you miss a survivor with flight, their aura gets revealed. And then for the perks, I do Lethal, either Barbecue or Friends Till the End, whichever one you're feeling at that time. And then the Franklin Weave combo helps with that. I came up with a really stupid build called the Treasure Guard build. You run the Mimic, the Bag of Holding, which guarantees 2 chests will be a Mimic, and anybody opening a treasure chest is oblivious. You run that with the... I think it's the Robe of Eyes, which shows people's auras whenever they get near a treasure chest. And then on your perks, you run Hoarder, the Dracula perk that blocks chests.
Human Greed. Greed. Dominance. Dominance is the one that blocks them.
Dominance, yeah. You run Dominance, Hoarder. I'm trying to remember the other ones. I think then it was also like Franklin's Weave, because you're like trying to like take their items from them. So that one's a really funny meme build. It doesn't do jackadiddly dog shit, but it is funny. If survivors are like, ooh, chests everywhere, then it can be kind of funny. Mm-hmm. I've come up with another one I'm trying to remember. There's the Vault build. So the Iridescent Tome, which blocks block. By the way, fly does not count as vault. But if you fly over a window, it blocks it for 45 seconds. So you could do that with literally any other add-on. I've seen people use Speed Potion. I've seen people use the brown add-on that increases the duration of fly. But you use that, and then you've got your Bamboozle, Superior Anatomy, Dark Arrogance, Unbound to go along with it, which is basically just a big fuck you to Windows. I actually I did one which was really stupid, where I did the Iridescent Tome, and then I did Crowd Control Undying, Bamboozle, and Cruel Limits.
So just block every window on the map forever.
Yeah. Yeah. So that one was really. And then when I did that one, it sent me to Leary's randomly. So it was really funny to have like half the map blocked off and have survivors just panic as they realized they couldn't change 76 windows in a row. That one was really funny.
Chaos Shuffle made me really appreciate Cruel Limits so much more because
oh my god,
I kept getting it, but it kept working. It was great.
I did this build with Billy, which was something similar. It was the Crowd Control Undying, Bamboozle. Yeah, I did the same perk loadout with Billy, and Cruel Limits got me like 4 different chainsaw downs. It was so dumb.
I have a clip of it somewhere. There's a clip I was on Coldwind. I was playing Chucky because of course I was. The random build I got had Cruel Limits in it. There was a gen that was 90% done. I scared 2 survivors off of it, started chasing one of them. I injured them, and they went up to the tractor. And you know how the tractor has the 2 window vaults? The other person came back and finished the gen as the person I was chasing was going up the tractor. It was the best fuck you I've ever seen in the game.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. When Cruel Limits activates, it's the funniest fucking thing in the goddamn world. Because it only gets a use 5 times a match. But those 5 times a match, boy, are the funniest. They guaranteed to be fucking hilarious. Yeah, and those are just the ones off the top of my head. Like I'm so close to like getting a notebook and calling it the Big Book of Vecna builds, because dude, I'm telling you, I can gush about this so much, dude. The longer you look at Vecna's add-ons and you like think about what's going on, the more you could just come up, and it's not all going to be good, right? No. Like I said, the treasure guard build is dog shit. You are not winning with that build. But is it fucking funny? Absolutely. It's so goddamn funny to run the treasure guard build. Absolutely hilarious. But yeah, it's Vecna. He has so much just funny and dumb shit you can do with him.
Yeah, have you tried the Aeronets build on him yet? The Dying Light build?
No, so actually, that's another build. I did a variation of Aeronad's build in the Blood Moon, which funnily enough somehow led to a damn near 20-minute match. And it only centers around 2 perks, Dying Light and Wretched Fate. And then you run Thrill and Undying to protect the Wretched Fate. And it's so... I can tell you right now, survivors fucking hate it. Because it turns generators into a slog.
I know. I've been running a similar build too.
Unfortunately, it's not. Unfortunately, it's not like unique to Vecna. I think you can run those perks on literally anybody and probably still get the same result. I'd like to see a nurse main run that build, honestly. But yeah, it was pretty fun on Vecna. Like I said, it's not unique to him though. But yeah.
Yeah, I've been doing I've been testing what the 4th perk should be, but it's been Dying Light, Gift of Pain, Jagged, and then the 4th perk's been interchangeable. I've tried Corrupt to help the early game, Lethal so I can start faster. But Wretched Fate I put on there, and honestly I think it's the best choice for it. It is surprisingly good.
Well, it gives it's a massive slowdown. It's like 33% to the obsession. I think its biggest weakness is that it once it's cleansed, it's gone forever. I think it'd be really funny, although Survivor players might tell me to go fuck myself, which is fine, I guess. I think it'd be really funny if every time a gen completed, it relit.
Fucking insane. So that would be old. I'm dying again.
The obsession can see the aura of it, so like they can keep going back and re-cleansing it.
That's true.
But I do think it would be fucking hilarious if they got rid of it, went to do a generator, then another gen popped and the fucking thing lit back up again, and they were like, God damn it, and then they gotta go walk and find the...
I mean, it's not impossible, like, because they did that similar thing with 2 Can Play.
2 Can Play and Face the Darkness,
yeah.
right?
Oh, no, Face the Darkness doesn't. Once it's gone, it's gone. Yeah, 2 Can
Okay.
Play is the only one I know of that can relight. Offhand. The new one isn't there a new totem? Oh yeah, the new... I don't know if that one can relight.
I don't think it can. As far as I know, it can't.
Yeah, because...
it's hard to tell because it takes 8 fucking hits in order to
5.
light the damn thing.
It should be 5. Like, I don't even think...
It should be 5.
The hinder isn't even, like, that great. I think 5 would be fair. And it's basic attacks. It's not, like, fucking Blight and Nurse are abusing it, you know?
I'm gonna be completely real with you. It shouldn't take any requirements. It should just light up the first time you hit a survivor. Because that hinder doesn't do shit. I tried it, dude. I tried it on everybody. I tried it on Clown. I tried it on Freddy. I tried it on Pinhead. I tried it on Deathslinger. I tried it on so many people. I don't even fucking notice it. If it was a hinder that was as strong as Liquor Tongue for Nemesis, maybe. Mostly, though, I don't notice it.
Yeah,
I really don't.
It saves you... someone's done the math. It saves you 1 second. And that's if they're running in a straight line.
Yeah, like it literally should just be like you hit a survivor, it lights up and activates. Like it's just not strong enough to require 8 hits, man. Just not. It is not.
Especially
and the only reason I say it shouldn't light up until you hit a survivor is because I maintain that totem should not light until they would get value.
No, I agree. I've made this point a lot of times. The only monkey wrench in that is Haunted Grounds, but the simple solution to that one is just put it on a timer before it lights.
Yeah,
that fixes the whole
or you
problem.
just let it light in the beginning because survivors can't help but cleanse glowy shit. And I'm not talking shit. I do the same fucking thing. I see a totem. I'm like, I'm Dee Dee from fucking Dexter's. Like, ooh, what does this button do? And I just cleanse the shit. All right, I'm not talking shit on anybody. I do the same thing. I see a shiny object. I'm a magpie. I see the shiny object. I interact with the shiny object.
Right before,
it just is what it is.
Right before this stream, I was actually talking to somebody about perks that FNAF might bring, and because of what I know about that franchise, a Hex perk would probably be perfect. So I'm really, really curious what the next one's going to be. Because I have a feeling it's going to be a trap perk because we have not had a trap one for a while.
Not since Retribution.
Mm-hmm.
God, what would be a good trap perk? Blocking the gens when it gets cleansed.
Blocking the gens, could you imagine? Like, no, hear me out with the hinder and haste changes. What if it was preamble for a hex that once it breaks, everyone's hindered for like 10% for like 30 seconds or something. Something insane.
Oh my god, dude! You combine that with Retribution and Haunted, and you're just
mowing them down. That would be great.
About to turn everybody into the lawnmower scene from Day of the Dead, bro. Like, holy fuck. Yeah, no, I agree. I think more trap hex perks would just be amazing.
I've also heard...
been like...
Oh, go ahead.
That's been like one of my biggest things that I've wanted for a while.
Yeah, there's someone in my Discord that constantly says they want a trap boon as well. I think that could be interesting also.
Ooh, so like a boon that when the killer snuffs it out, it does something to the killer?
Yeah, like hinders or maybe like shows their aura or just something. Like maybe it just stuns them. I don't know.
No, I like that. I like that. I think that would be neat. Honestly, even one like one that stuns them would even work pretty well. Because if you're like I don't know, like again, gamers are magpies. You show us shiny shit, we'll go to the shiny shit, right? So I have seen so many killers, and I've even done it myself, where in the middle of chasing somebody, they'll like walk over and like stomp a boon out. Mm-hmm. So like I think it'd be kind of cool if it was like on a timer. So you like you could do it like Boone Spiked Bones or something. That'd be a cool name. And whenever the killer snuffs the boon, it breaks the totem. But then there's like a 5-second timer, and once that timer expires, the killer is stunned. So like if a killer stomps the boon and walks over to pick up a survivor, they get stunned by the timer and then they drop the survivor. That would be like really strategic. Granted, after a while, killers would catch on when they see the boon break. Or it could break after the 5-second timer, whichever one. But I think honestly, now that, oh God, the more I think about it, now my mind's racing with all the shit you could do with a trap boon, bro.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting idea again, because I mean, we got trap hexes, so why not?
Yeah,
it could be a little annoying, sure, but like I don't know. I think because once you get hit with it once, you're not going to hit it with it again, most likely. And it could lead to some interesting mind games where you trap the first one, and if you have the option to not, but you can then not trap the second one, or vice versa.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that would be cool as shit. Honestly. Wow, that's a really good idea. I might make a video on that. Tell you're stealing their shit.
What was I going to say? Also, that your idea for the name actually did make me just realize that Pinhead's out of the game, isn't he? Officially.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Have the perk names changed yet?
I don't know if they changed in game, but they were announced.
Because I don't think they have. Because I can still look up Gift of Pain, and it still comes up as Gift of Pain.
Oh, that's just the new search feature.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, the new search feature. But like, you could do the same thing with Stranger Things.
Mm-hmm.
You can search the name before they came back, and it'll give you the perk.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I
don't know, because that just made me, because the two names I heard for the change for Gift of Pain, just one of them sounded awesome, and the other one I don't even know what to think about.
Yeah.
Because one of them was like Fangwind Pact or something, and I was like, that's so cool. I love that.
Yeah. There was I'm trying to. They released it. I wonder if the wiki updated with them yet, because they did release it, and it got sent to my. I think one's like Fool's Fortune. I think that's the Pain Res one, or the Plaything one. Mm-hmm. It's like Fool's Fortune. No, they haven't changed it on the wiki yet. God damn it.
Yeah, so I don't think it's changed the game yet either yet. But I'm curious how long it's going to take, because Stranger Things, it was day of. Weird.
Really? See, I was wondering that, because this person came into my chat, and they were like, I was like, you could use Deadlocked in your build, and they said I don't have it. I was like, yes, you do. Pinhead's no longer in the game. Are no longer available, so they're general perks, and they're like, I promise you I don't have it. And I'm like, dude, you definitely have it. They were like, no, I don't have it. And I was like, bro, I'm telling you, you have it.
So if they didn't have it before, he would have had to unlock it again on each killer, because it's the general perk now. It wouldn't have just given it to them.
Okay, yeah. I see what you're saying. Yes. Okay, so that was probably it, yeah.
Yeah, so he'd still have to go through the blood web and still unlock it, but he has it. He just, you get what I'm saying with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what happened when the Stranger Things ones went away. Like, if you didn't own the perk, and that was before the current system of the prestige thing, so it was more fucking annoying. Every individual killer. Oh my god, I cannot believe that's how things used to work.
What?
So the way it used to work was, so when you prestiged, so if you prestiged Pig, let's say, in order to get Hangman's Trip, Surveillance, and whatever her third perk is that I can't remember, in order to get those on the other killers, you would then have to go to your blood web, and then go through your blood web and unlock them individually by level. That's how it used to work.
Insane.
Yeah, so let's say you prestige Pig and Pinhead and Artist and Clown. Well, now if you go to Trapper, you have to go through your blood web and unlock each level of those perks. So all 3 tiers, individually through your blood web.
I can't believe there are people that tell me all the time that they wish prestiging still worked the way it used to. That sounds fucking awful.
Oh yeah, and that's not even counting the fact that when you prestige, you lost every single add-on you had and item.
Yeah, that sounds atrocious, honestly.
It was so bad. I don't know how people enjoyed that more. I don't. It was just terrible. It's just it took forever, especially like it's funny too because technically, if like you were a veteran player, like let's say you're a veteran player and you had every character prestiged, whenever a new character came out, you would have to go through. It would take about 3 prestiges or so, or not even. So okay, so and that's the other thing. When you prestige, you lost all the perks too.
That's atrocious. I can't. There's no way people miss that.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember exactly how it was because it's been so long. But yeah. Now that I remember, that's how it worked. Yes, that's why I wouldn't prestige all my killers because I didn't want to re-get everything again. So like, let's say you had Pig at level 49, and then but you had all the perks unlocked somehow at level 49. It would usually wouldn't be that. It would take millions to get all the perks on every killer. But if you were at level 49, you had all the perks. If you get to level 50 and then prestige, everything's gone. And you have to re-get it all again. All your items, all your add-ons, all your perks.
Yeah, that sounds atrocious. Okay, I found it. Deadlocked is now called No Holds Barred. Plaything is now called Fortune's Fool. And Scourgehook is now called Weeping Wounds.
Okay, I can live with 2 of those. I don't like the Plaything or the Plaything one. That sounds I don't like that.
Why is it called Fortune's Fool
That's what
and not Fool's Fortune?
What does that have to do with being oblivious? I mean, I guess you could stretch it like you're blinded by greed, but what is okay.
I don't know, man. Yeah. Anyway, I just hate that it's Fortune's Fool instead of Fool's Fortune. Anyway.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Moving on a little bit. So this isn't a specific question about Vecna. It's more about the game as a whole, which is like we've been alluding to a little bit. But what are your opinions on the general state of the game at the moment? As someone who does discussion content, this is going to be interesting.
It's such a hard thing to answer because, like, on one hand, I found how to love this game again. I did an entire video on like ways to make sure that you don't burn out and how to just fall in love with this game. And if those ways don't work, truth be told, you just need to uninstall. Like, I talked about like playing breaks, making sure that taking breaks, making sure that you do variety content and content. I say content, but like play survivor, play killer, play different killers, stuff like that. And most of all, just remember that this game is fucking cringe and it just cannot be taken that damn seriously. Some people, a lot of y'all just take this game way too fucking seriously. I killed a dude one day and he came in the chat and then he got banned because he was being a dickhead. And then in my whispers, he called me a pedophile and said he was going to report me for follow botting, all because I killed him in a video game. Like legitimately, like he was like he came onto the thing. Right, he came onto the into my whispers. I posted it in my either in like on Blue Sky or something. He got banned, by the way. I reported him and he got banned. But he came into my whispers and he was like, "Yeah, you're definitely a pedophile. I've heard about you. No reason to call me that, except I killed him in a video game. Like what? And then there was the video I released recently where this TTV got tunneled. I tunneled her. Or I tunneled her duo more specifically. She technically got tunneled, but she didn't get tunneled out, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I got you.
So her and her duo got tunneled by me, and her response was to come in and like start a bunch of shit in my stream. And then when I was like, "Yeah, you're being fucking weird," she was like, I'm gonna send this stream to my Discord and put you on blast." And then when I went check her account, she had like 1.8 thousand followers. Like, you've got almost 2K Twitch followers and you're acting like this over a fucking video game. Like, it's crazy. Or the other video I just posted. Being a DVD content creator, like a dozen times a day, I fucking get, it feels like I get at least once a day, I get one person that is just off their goddamn rocker because they lost in a video game. It's absolutely ridiculous. But anyway, where was I? I fucking went off on a side tangent there. On one hand, I absolutely love this game from the bottom of my heart. One of my favorite games of all time. I love playing it. I love hanging out with the people in my community. I love streaming it. I think it's a great game for content. On the other hand, there are so many minor niggles in this game that just need to be fixed, that just make no goddamn sense. Why is there no darkness option for flashlight blinds? Why can a survivor crouch underneath a hook and stop me from hooking the survivor that's in my arms? Why don't hex totems? Why can hex totems spawn directly underneath the survivor's feet in the beginning of the game and get cleansed in 0.2 seconds? I know we're getting it, but why is blood point spending such an atrocity right now? Why do the developers continue to do shit nobody asked for? Like, there's just so many minor things that build, and they build and build and build and build and build, and it gets to a point where we as the players feel frustrated. We're getting good shit, but sometimes it feels like the developers either didn't think something through, like the whole blood gen that we're dealing with right now. Mm-hmm. They didn't think that through. I'm sorry. They just didn't. They came up with a cool idea. They said, let's put this idea in, and then gave no consideration to hero powers, perk synergies. Like, even if you wanted to take out progression and regression from the blood gens, right? Which I understand. Why is Coup affected? Why is Fire Up affected? Like, there's just so much. They just did not put that much thought into that. And I hate saying that because I cannot stand the phrase, do the developers even play the game? Because of course they do. But I just refuse to believe that they gave the Blood Gen event, the Blood Moon event, the Blood Gens, any amount of thought past, this is a cool idea. Don't let generator perks interact with them. And then they just threw it into the fucking game. And that just, I don't like that feeling. So, my opinion, the state of the game is that it's better than it's ever been, but we have so much further to go before it's a amazing game.
So, the way I've been describing it, especially over the past few months, is I feel like the game has been in this state of like limbo, kind of, where we didn't know exactly where it was going. And I feel like ever since, I want to say January, and from what I understand, January is when some things changed at Behavior Interactive. I feel like since January, we're finally getting up that hump.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, and you said the same thing I did. I don't care what the reason was. I don't care if it's because FNAF's coming. I don't care if it's because they were losing a bunch of players. I don't care if it's because the community was getting mad at them. I don't care what the fucking reason was. Yeah. I'm just happy we're finally in a situation where I feel like this game is going into a positive direction of change.
Exactly. I do not give a shit why it's becoming better. I'm just happy it's becoming better. That's all I want.
Yeah, and it definitely seems like we're going for the direction. Now, what I will say is it does take time, and I'm completely understanding of that, especially considering the rocky foundation we have for the game in general. And the Blood Gen event, my conspiracy theory tinfoil hat thoughts on what happened was, I feel like the health stuff that they've been talking about, and the delay of Ken and all of these other things, I think they ran out of. I hate saying this because it makes me sound like I'm giving the devs excuses or whatever. But like, if I was to guess a reason, it's they ran out of time, but they still had to have the event. Mm-hmm. That's genuinely what I think happened, because they were trying to push all the health stuff. They pushed back Ken, a bunch of other things, and it basically just delayed things, but they couldn't delay the event anymore. Because I mean, I know even when Ken was releasing, people were like, "Where's the Blood Moon event?" So like, I kind of empathize a little bit there. And again, it's not to give an excuse; it's to give a reason. right?
Yeah.
That doesn't.
Well, and it's so odd because the quality of life announcement seemingly came out of fucking nowhere. Like it was like like I personally, and I've never gotten confirmation for this. I personally think Hiddens had something to do with it. I think that he made that video about behavior not being ready for the Five Nights at Freddy's chapter. He gave all these reasons about why, and because he's a consult, I think he's still a consultant.
He is.
Somebody at Behavior reached out to him and was like, "Hey, what did you mean by this video?" And then he told them, and then they were like, "Oh shit, maybe he's right." And again, I don't care why it happened. I just think that it led to I just think that it led to a lot of I just think that it led to Behavior actively coming out and deciding that they needed to do this. And it delayed a couple of things. But you know what? I would rather them delay it now than delay it when FNAF drops. Because even though I don't give a flying fuck about Five Nights at Freddy's, the only thing that I care about is new stuff in the game to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I don't care about Five Nights at Freddy's, I am excited for what it's going to do to the game. I'm super excited for the exposure this game's going to get. If you watch the interview with the King, the way Kote was talking, this is going to be their biggest chapter ever. Like the amount of stuff they're bringing, cosmetics, and the way the perks are going to work, and like all of that stuff is it's going to be one of the biggest chapters we've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fucking pumped.
I'm I'm going to PAX, where they said they're going to actually announce it officially is at PAX, and I am ready for my eardrums to bleed, fucking screaming. It's gonna like again. I know you're not the biggest fan of FNAF, and I'm not like a super fan, but like I keep up. But it's I am genuinely I'm more excited for this than Chucky. I love Chucky. Okay, I do. I love that franchise. It's very important and special to me. But this is just a monumental moment for this game. Not to sound dramatic, but it really is.
I mean, it's not dramatic. Like anybody who like fully understands the expansive, like if anybody doubts how powerful Chucky is, like as a franchise. Sorry, not Chucky. FNAF is as a franchise. Anybody ever doubts it? I have heard more people say they are saving up blood points for FNAF than any other chapter that has ever been announced.
There is someone in my Discord with 65 million saved and ready to go.
There's a Twitch streamer with 115 million BP saved up.
It's fucking ridiculous. In the best way. I love to see it, but like, oh my god.
I'm going to tell you this, though. My hot take, I talked about this on stream. I don't like they announced it a year in advance. Because it's led so many people to do this thing where they're just saving BP that a lot of people are just ignoring the game. Like a lot of people are like they're only coming in to like do tome quests to like bank the quests or to get themselves into the grade reset so they can keep getting it, and then they're like just straight up not playing it. I think a lot of people have been ignoring the game because they're just waiting for FNAF to drop. And that's not like unfounded. I've straight up heard people say they are not playing this game until FNAF drops because that's all they care about.
That person,
so I honestly...
Oh, sorry. I was going to say that person with 36 million I told you, or 64 million, he is literally only playing the game right now because Kin is so fun. Otherwise, he would not be playing it.
Yep. Like it really is. Again, I'm super excited for it. I just wish it wouldn't have been a year in advance. I think 6 months might have been cool, but like a full fucking year in advance was crazy.
I think,
but yeah, no, I think that the game is heading in a better direction. It's better than it's ever been. And I think if you think old DBD was better, you're just nostalgia blinded. Because I talk to people all the time about old DBD, and they're just so fucking. Oh my fucking god, I got so mad. And there's no hate to this chatter because they are regular, and I do enjoy their presence. But one of my chatters came in with just the whenever somebody's like, oh, behavior is killer sided, behavior is survivor sided. Every time someone says that, they are objectively wrong. Every fucking time. No ifs, no ands, no buts. They are objectively wrong every single time. And you can prove they're wrong by simply just um going to the patch notes and showing, hey, Killer's got this amount of buffs, Killer's got this amount of nerfs, Survivor's got this amount of buffs, Survivor's got this. So anyway, he was blah 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 yapping on about how the game used to be better for Killers, and I was like, he was like, since Singularity or something like that, and then he tried to go further back, and I was like, really? Old Dead Hard was better for Killers? Old MFT was better for Killers? Old Circle of Healing was better for Killers? Really? It used to be better for Killers? Really? You fucking sure about that?
Do you know?
Are you sure?
Do you know? You know the patch 6.1, right? The infamy.
Yeah, the infamous 6.1 I wasn't playing during.
But so the reason that patch happened is because there wasn't that many Killer players left. That was the whole purpose of that entire patch. It's because like the Killer player base was dwindling so much because of how miserable it was to play back then.
Yeah.
Which is ironic. That's when I started playing.
I'll say this. There are some things that are super frustrating, specifically to the Killer role. Behavior has this palette fetish.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that's about. It's really annoying. But I don't think it used to be worse for Killer. And I don't think it used to be worse for Survivor either. Like, yeah, Survivors used to be overpowered, but I mean, Survivors got the new HUD. They're about to get Arella Rose, which has some of the best Survivor perks we've seen in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Shoulder the Burden is super fucking strong. Like, everybody's doing fine. Everybody needs to calm the fuck down. You're all fine.
I mean, even like current state of the game, like I get frustrated about a few things, and like I think there's some like you said, some nicks and niggles here, but like it's overall the game is in a decent spot balance wise.
Yeah.
But again, like Shoulder the Burden, sure, we can argue about that all day. I still think the Exposed needs to either be longer or permanent. Could you imagine if it was permanent?
Oh god, it'd be terrible. I'd never run it. I don't think anybody would ever run it.
I still say 60 seconds would be more than enough.
I just think that you shouldn't be able to shoulder multiple survivors.
Yeah, maybe
not multiple. You shouldn't be able to shoulder the same survivor over and over again.
Okay,
there was this Puffalope video where he got shouldered like 3 times. Like he had to be hooked 5 times for him to get killed. It was fucking stupid.
But you know, other than that, and like on the Killer side, I know there's some things. The thing is, you can call me biased. Most of the stuff on the Killer side isn't even that strong. It's just annoying. That's the way it seems to me, at least. I can't think. I think
it's.
Go ahead.
It's mostly because I've talked about this before too. There's a kind of misconception among there's this misconception among people that the Killer role is supposed to, or the Survivor role rather, is supposed to be able to 1v1 Killers. And you're not. You're supposed to be able to 1v4 Killers.
Right.
And a lot of people don't like fully grasp that concept. And so when a lot of people compare like Survivor perks to Killer perks, they kind of forget that there's 4 fucking survivors. And so I think the reason Killer can sometimes feel weird is that too many survivors are trying to build themselves for the 1v1. And so your individual chases get frustrating because you're dealing with fucking, 2 to 3 decisives and 2 to 3 off the records and 2 to 3 dead hards, 2 to 3 sprint bursts. And so it feels like you never get a break from it. But I think that's why Killer can sometimes feel a little bit weaker, because there's not as the developers, in my opinion, need to really look at making the Killer 1v1 much stronger, because it's supposed to be it's supposed to be that the Killer is stronger than any individual survivor. And sometimes it doesn't always feel that way, especially when you get the fucking Navy SEAL Team 6 fucking Avengers. It's like, oh, I can't catch anybody. I'll go fuck myself. It's fine.
Well, I mean, they've tried this in the past, but every time they release a Killer that's good at the 1v1, people get very mad at it.
I can't run the killer for 5 gens by just holding W. It's not fair.
Now, killers that are good at the 1v4 as well, that's a different story. I think for most people, that's just more frustrating than like anything. But
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, again, though, even like the perk design they've been coming up with, and some of the buffs they've been doing have been great. Like the Languid Touch perk buff was great. The changes they did, the rework to Freddy was amazing.
Oh god, that Freddy rework was top tier.
Like we can argue whether or not like how strong he actually is, but like regardless of any of that, he's fun to play and he's at least decent now.
And that's what I think a lot of people also forget. Like, not everything has to be super strong.
No.
As long as things are decent and fun to play, it is good for the game, right? As long as things are decent and fun to play. That's why, like, when I'm talking about buffing, like Legion, or Pig, or Myers, or Trapper, we're not even going to talk about Skull Merchant. When I'm talking about buffing those killers to a state of usability, I'm talking about making it to where they are fun to play. They don't have to be super hyper S tier, just fun to play. That's all I want. That's all I care about is fun to play. I don't know why that's so controversial.
I think for a lot of it, because I mean that's kind of what happened to Chucky for a lot of people, was once he got nerfed, or changed, or whatever you want to call it. A lot of people were very, very upset that he didn't feel as fun as he was. And then they adjusted and made him. I think he's the best he's ever been at the current moment, personally, but that's just me.
Yeah.
I don't even mean that strength-wise. I just mean like from a playability factor on both sides. I think he's the best he's ever been. Because that's the biggest argument for Ken right now is that it's hard to adjust Ken without getting rid of his fun factor. Because I've been playing him without using half of his power since release. And I have lost a grand total of 2 matches. 2. Not using half of his power. And that led me to believe, well, strength-wise, it doesn't matter what they nerf about this guy. Strength-wise, he's always going to be strong because he can get around the map super quick. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's what a lot of people don't want to hear, and I'm just going to say it anyway, is that you have to treat him like you treat Legion or Plague. You have to just accept that you're going to get injured. And then from there, you need to learn how to play loops in a way that you have to pay attention to them, to pay attention to him. It is very similar to playing against Nurse, Blight, Billy, Huntress. You have to keep an eye on these killers, dude. You can't just W key away from these killers. You have to keep an eye on them. And that's part of the problem, is that far too many Survivor players want to just be able to drop pallet, run away. Drop pallet, run away. Drop pallet, walk around, take a window, run away. They want every killer to be played against like that. And so when they come up against killers that require you to actually loop, they get frustrated. I last fairly long against most Kanekis.
Just stay
because
in the
I
loop.
understand. Yeah. Well, I understand what he can do. I understand when I have to. I understand because like you can't just take distance like you would with any other killer. But Blight works the same way. Blight, Billy, Nurse, Chucky even. You can't just take distance against Chucky if he's got Heidi Ho up. He just fucking slice and dices after you.
Mm-hmm.
And then what, asshole? Like I saw this TikTok video one time. Oh my God, it pissed me the hell off. Where she was like, killers will call this a skill issue. She was running Windows of Opportunity. She vaulted a pallet and then she fucking just ran into a dead zone. And he just fucking dashed over to her and knocked her down. And I'm like, yes, that's a fucking skill issue, you goddamn idiot. You have a perk that's designed to keep you away from dead zones, and you went to one anyway. Any dash killer catches you there.
I mean, like with Kaneki, the thing I tell people, because I ran one I encountered one last night, but I ran him for I'm not even that good at Survivor. I suck at Survivor, but I ran one for a decent amount of time. All I did was when I got hit, I didn't run away. I stayed at the loop I was at. I pre-dropped the pallet and I just ran around it. I did a couple mind games maybe, but that's about because he can't do much at a loop. And if you like hide your hitbox so he can't get that vault over the pallet, he literally is just a 115 kill. It's just Trapper.
Yep.
Like he can try to like cancel the slide and stuff, but at that point, that's the Kaneki being good. Like there's also that aspect of it too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty fucking it's I can rant all night about Kaneki. Anyway.
But yeah, overall I think again the game is going in a much better direction. It has been for a while now, and I think we're finally just getting over that. We're going up the hump. We're about to get at the hump is what I think is happening.
Yeah.
Now, that analogy makes it sound like we're going to go to a precipice and then fucking go back down, but anyone who's been in any live service game, it's ebb and flows, so... Then it's just the nature of the beast. So back on to Vecna a bit. This is probably the most controversial question I'm going to ask you, and one that I have an answer for that a lot of people don't like. What would you say Vecna's power level is?
Last time I tier listed him, I put him in the bottom of A tier. I consider him to be the gatekeeper to A. Which you could either put him in like high as fuck B, or you can put him at the lowest low of A tier. He's on that edge. And the reason for that, the reason for that is because even though he's a Swiss Army knife killer, none of his individual spells are good enough. So Vecna can see where you're at if you pass through his orb, but his orb can be dodged if you are either just randomly not in its path, or if you have the item that allows you to see it. So you just, there's the orb, let Vecna know that I'm here, right? His Flight of the Damned has an item that lets you see his aura when he's casting it, which makes dodging his insta-tech easier, right? His Fly has an item that lets you see his aura when he's flying, which allows you to keep track of the killer. His Mage Hand has the item that gives you haste when he uses it, making his ability to ignore pallets not as strong. His artifacts are so fucking powerful that I don't think most people understand how strong they are, because a lot of people misuse them. First off, you might want to cover your ear. You cannot use Vecna's artifacts when you're fucking injured. Okay. If you are healthy and you rush into a locker with the hand, you will teleport. He will get the information to where you teleported to with Killer Instinct. But if the hand doesn't fuck you, which it can do, by the way, I just want to let you guys know that, you can, the radius is 10 meters. That's the minimum. You can teleport across the map, but you could also teleport next door and get fucked. So be careful with that. But most of the time it teleports survivors very far. So that's a very strong tool, because Vecna's mobility in Fly is not... We talked about it earlier. What was it? What did we say? 27 meters, give or take?
27 to 28, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. So he can't go very far. So if you teleport further than that, then you've got a pretty good head start, right? With the eye, stop jumping into lockers directly in front of him. When you come out of a locker, you are still vulnerable. So if he swings at the locker when you jump out, he'll just down you. But if you do it far enough ahead, you're invisible and you make no sound and you leave no scratch marks or blood pools. So you can get pretty far away from him. So he has artifacts that work against him. His magic items do very decent counters to his power, which gives you tons of information to outplay them. And none of his spells individually are that strong. The reason he's at the bottom of A tier, top of B, in the where people would say are very strong, is because when you climb over his skill floor and you learn how to utilize all of his little techs, you know, the elevation tech, the insta-tech, the vault tech, you can overcome those weaknesses, but never enough to be on the top of the top, right? I consider A tier to be the place where killers are masters of the 1v4, right? If they're in A tier, they can 1v4 solidly. And Vecna barely makes it into that because at the end of the day, none of his individual spells are strong enough to matter. But yeah, that's where I put him.
I think for me, because I understand your reasoning, but for me, what I put him. I used to put Demogorgon here. Before you say anything, Demogorgon's much lower now, but I used to put Demogorgon here. But to me, Vecna is literally whatever the tier list is. He's the dead center to me.
Like the most average?
I think he's the most average because he's literally a jack of all trades.
Yeah, but each of the trades that he's a jack of, he does well enough to overcome the average.
This is true. I don't know. Maybe I'm oversimplifying it a bit, but to me, it's just he's always seemed like the direct middle of the pack. He's not like, even when you're really good with him, he's not like super duper oppressive or OP. He's not like super bad and like unusable against most things. If you know what you're doing, you can usually like come back from most matches. Like that's why to me he's like the dead center. My tier lists are also weird, so.
I agree with that. I've seen your tier list. Your boos mean nothing to me. I've seen what makes you cheer. Yeah, I don't know, because like then I would have to like start questioning like what makes you think that he's worse than other killers. But I'd have to look at your tier list to ask that question.
Yeah, and that's always the problem with tier lists because I don't even have that many killers in A. Honestly, I put most killers in B.
See, meanwhile, I've got quite a few killers in A.
Yeah, whenever I make a tier list, most killers I have in B. I have like the obvious ones in S, like Billy, Blight, Nurse, maybe Ken. I'm still debating on that one. But like I have the obvious ones, and then like I don't even have D tier is literally for me just Skull Merchant.
I'm gonna do a updated one soon because everybody voted that they wanted another one, but currently my A tier list consists because I go S to F, which makes it difficult for most people. I have an F tier, which is where I put Skull Merchant and Trapper. But my A tier currently is Billy, Dracula, Spirit, Artist, Singularity, Oni, Huntress, Twins, Xenomorph, Pyramid Head, Wesker, Plague, and then finally at the bottom is Vecna, and then right below Vecna in the B tier is Penhead.
Yeah, you have way more in the A tier than I do. I have like 6 killers in A tier.
Yeah, my B tier is Pinhead, Unknown, Chucky, Dredge, Knight, Houndmaster, Nemesis, Demo, Trickster, Deathslinger, Hag, which actually I'm about to drop Hag to C tier. Because I played her recently, and holy fuck, that 110 movement speed is so detrimental to her. Oh my god, it's so bad.
Yeah, it's from a bygone era. It really should.
I have a video coming out tomorrow ranting about it.
Yeah, I was talking with Gummy about it. I really do like he convinced me that she should probably be 115.
I miss Gummy. I need to message him.
And then I was there was another YouTuber did one about Deathslinger maybe going up to 115 as well.
I don't know about that one.
Well, Deathslinger's in this weird spot right now where like he's not bad, but like he's kind of bad.
I think that him at what I think if you want to buff Slinger, you maybe buff the range of his gun. Maybe his real speed and buff the range of his gun or something like that. I think making Slinger 115 is just a bad idea because his chase is so fucking strong.
It is.
Like he's got a fucking gun. Like it's so like I think the mistake that a lot of people make when they play Slinger. Now I'm not a Slinger main by any means, right? There are much better Slinger players out there, probably far more qualified than me to speak on him. But the way some people's play Slinger that I've noticed is they will shoot first, reel, hit, and then they'll have to reload while the survivor's running away. And then they got to limp their 110 ass over to where the survivor is. Where if you M1 first and then shoot, like follow up with the shot, you get a lot more consistency. in downing survivors. And I think that's the problem, is a lot of people do things in the wrong order. I think 115 Slinger, it's kind of like people who think Chucky should be 115.
Fuck no.
I think 115 Slinger would be an absolute, it would buff him to A tier probably if he was 115, because his chase potential would be so fucking strong.
Again, it's it's one of those things again where I would love to test it. You know? Like, because it's the same thing with like making Blight 110, right? That's been a discussion for a while. It's like, I would love to test it because I'm curious how much of a difference it really makes.
I think Lilith and I actually got into a discussion about that one time, about whether or not Blight should be 110, because this was back before they removed Hug Tech.
Mm-hmm.
Lilith was like, no, because the bumps are too inconsistent, and in the back in the day, they fucking were terrible. I could not count the number of times where I would go towards something like a tree or something and just slide off of it like it was made out of butter.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, oh, okay, cool. I'll go fuck myself then. So like he was talking about that, but like as a former Billy main, I would not be mad at all if they made Billy 110.
No,
I don't think it'd mean anything, honestly.
I had Revium and Code on here. I don't know if you know Code. They're a Blight main. But I had Rev and Code on here, and we were talking about Blight being 110 for a while, and some other killers did get brought up as well. Like, we didn't really mention Billy, which is actually an interesting one that I think could also make it too. But other ones were like artists should probably be 110, honestly, with compensation to how her Because again, like I feel like the biggest problem with like Blight, and the reason I want to make him 110 is just so he's kind of forced to actually use his power.
Yeah, he'd be forced. It would heighten his skill floor massively.
Mm-hmm.
Because you couldn't just W key people down anymore. I mean, you could, but it would take longer.
Yeah.
Because like I've talked to people do not understand how big of a difference between 115 and 110 is. Like, you feel it. You fucking feel it. When I play, like I said, I had to play Hag for like a fucking daily ritual, and after playing Vecna, Billy, Freddy, Clown, playing Hag, I was just like, oh my god, my feet are in fucking cement, bro. Like, holy shit.
If Chucky was 115, I would be a fucking menace to this game. Honestly. And reminder, I run Rapid Brutality on Chucky. I would be a fucking menace to this game.
Yeah.
Because, like, it's not like you never M1 with Chucky, but, like, it doesn't happen as... And similar to Slinger, it's usually better to M1 them for the injure. So you can catch up with the slice and dice. But, like... but giving the reasonings there, though, like I just think we have different philosophies on the tier list. And, I've mentioned this in the past before. This is the issue with tier lists. It always will be, is that we all have differing ideals on why we play... Not necessarily why we place killers in certain tiers, but even what the tiers mean.
Yeah.
Because to me, S tier means you have to try to lose. Or like something very, very, very bad has to happen. You have to have the shittiest RNG. You have to be messing up constantly. That's Blight, Nurse Billy, like, A tier to me is like, you can win most of your matches even with like a decent build, not like the strongest thing in the world. B tier, you kind of have to get into a point to where you got to bring a good build. You kind of got to get really lucky with RNG. Survivors have to make a decent amount of mistakes. C tier is basically killers that can only work if survivors make mistakes constantly. And then D tier, which for me is just Skull Merchant, is basically... you just better be playing against some of the worst players you've ever seen, or people who don't know what they're doing. One of the two.
Yeah, so my criteria for mine is D tier is borderline worthless. Like, not fun to play, not fun to do anything with. Absolutely can't do jackadiddly dog shit. And I've got Skull Merchant and Trapper in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then C tier is... D tier is, they can be like good enough, but they need like something substantial. And in that tier I have Legion, Myers, again, I'm going to be updating this soon, but Legion Myers, Ghostface are there. And then C tier is where I personally put the killers who I think are just average, who they're not bad, but they're not exactly great either. And in there, I have Freddy, Clown, Doctor, Wraith, Bubba, Sadako, Pig.
Right.
Then B tier is the ones who are like incredibly good at what they do, even if what they do isn't necessarily good enough to like always win the game. They're so good at what they do that they are almost they're very close to A tier, right? So, and that's where I have Pinhead, Unknown, Chucky, Dredge, Knight, Houndmaster, Nemesis, Demo, Trickster, Slinger, and like I said, I'm going to move Hag. I'm probably going to move Hag down to C tier somewhere when I redo this. And then my A tier is the people who can not only 1v4, but who can 1v4 efficiently. And then the S tier is the good luck if you're facing them.
Yeah. And
if they're good, you're fucked. Like, if they're good at the game, you're just fucked.
Like, again, and you know, I like I said, that this is the issue with video ones are a little different because oftentimes people do give their reasonings. It's more like ones you see on like Twitter or Blue Sky or just like random image posts, because it's like, okay, what's your criteria for all of these tiers? And like, what is your reasoning for this? You know, because people will constantly ask you sometimes, and it's like, that's the problem tier lists often have. And like, I mean, we both just sat here and explained how we do ours, right? So like our reasonings, like whether or not we agree with them, like you at least understand why I like would put a killer in my B tier versus your B tier.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, and again, that's where the whole strength debate often comes up. Honestly, you know, I've made joke tier lists about this. Honestly, there's really only tier lists really only have two. In my opinion, there's only two tiers. Honestly, it's you're gonna win 90% of your games. You're gonna struggle sometimes. That's without sometimes this game goes. It's legitimately, to me, that's really the only tier list that matters in this game. But that's just me.
Yeah,
it's basically S tier and then everybody else. So next is tips for Vecna players. So newer Vecna players, and when I say new, I'm not talking like freshly installed, came for FNAF. I'm talking like 400 hours or so, like decently new, not like an expert, you know, that they're getting there. They see Vecna and they're like, oh, Skelly Man, that's cool. What would some tips be you have for them for playing Vecna?
Off rip, run the Pearl of Power and Spell Storing Ring as often as you can, just so you have the shorter cooldowns for your spells, so you always understand. You have more practice with them, because there is a tiny bit of mechanical skill. There's three main techs for Vecna. There's the elevation tech, the instant tech, and the vault tech. Don't worry about the vault tech. The vault tech is whenever a survivor is mid vault of a pallet, you can use Mage Hand to pick it up and cancel their vault, and they slide backwards into you. The reason I say don't worry about that at first is because the timing required to do it is so goddamn precise that you're going to miss it 90% of the time. So just don't even worry about it. The Insta-Tech is another one to not worry about, because you need to get the feeling for how far away the skeletons spawn, because Insta-Tech is spawning skeletons directly on top of survivors. So you want to get a feeling for how that works before you try it. But the elevation tech, anyone can do. I explained it way back in the beginning. I'll explain it again here in case people are skipping through sections. Your skeletons spawn at chest height, and this allows it to hit the upper portion of the survivor. If the survivor ducks, they go underneath the skeleton. So what you want to learn to do is learn where your chest height is, and you get help because you have guiding arrows. When you go to summon the arrows, if the arrows are a little bit off the floor, then the skeletons will summon at knee height and hit any survivor who tries to crouch them. So master the elevation tech. That should be the very first thing you learn how to do. And then I said the add-ons, and learn to, even if you fail to hit the survivor, learn to pick up pre-dropped pallets before you start trying to block the stand-up pallets, because the stand-up pallets require too much timing on them. So yeah, those are the biggest tips. Master the elevation tech, and then run your cooldown add-ons so you can just start learning how to use spells. And eventually you get to that efficiency I talked about, where it's one spell per health state. If you're ever using more than one spell per health state, you are probably messing up somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a blood point score called Violent Caster, where that is if you hit a survivor within 15 seconds of casting a spell. Try to get that Violent Caster as much as you possibly can. That means that you're doing something correctly.
Mm-hmm. And the other half of this, tips for playing against Vecna.
You can't use Vecna's artifacts while injured. Try to prioritize the Flight of the Damned and Mage Hand items. Obviously, take any items you can, because they're all useful. But the Flight of the Damned and the Mage Hand items are the best things for you. If you get the eye, jump in the locker when you have distance from Vecna. But if you get the hand, jump in the locker when Vecna's about to get close to you, because the hand will teleport you away, but the eye makes you invisible. Great way to remember which one is which is I can see. Eye makes you invisible. Vecna can't be. Easiest way to remember that. Okay. Listen for the Flight of the Damned, because it makes, when he starts casting it, when he goes, you'll hear it. It literally sounds like bones rattling. Goes. When you hear that sound, duck, because he's probably casting, if he's casting it a loop. If he's on a lower elevation, then look at him, see where the skeletons are spawning, and then move in between them. You can tell when he's mage handing a pallet, because the pallet will get this purple glowy stuff on it. And if he's targeting a pallet with mage hand, just greed the pallet until he's close enough for you to stun him. Because otherwise, you're going to pre-drop, he's going to pick it up, walk through, and smack you. Fly is just trying to get around his body block. There's no real technique to it. And then if you get Dispelling Sphered, don't panic, but understand that he knows where you're at. Even if you're in a locker, Dispelling Sphere gives Killer Instinct, so he knows where you're at. You can't hide from it. But yeah, that's how you play against Vecna. Yeah,
what I will say for Mage Hand too is the counterplay I used to give for when Chucky had Manual Scamper. It's pretty much the same thing. Not that it's the same effect. Believe me, Mage Hand and the Manual Scamper are two. Yeah. They're on different universes. Yeah. But the counterplay is extremely similar. Especially if the Vecna is just like waiting. Just fucking greet it, trust me.
Yeah. I miss Scamper low key.
I miss Window Scamper more than Pallet Scamper. I still think Window Scamper should have stayed and it would have been fine. Pallet Scamper was a bit much. Now this
go
ahead.
I gotta ask you this. Do you think that if Chucky didn't have Slice and Dice and Scamper was just his straight up ability, do you think that it would have been fine for him to scamper pallets?
Would it still be on an 18-second cooldown?
I don't know.
If he didn't have the dash, do I think it would be fine? I think it would be fine, but still annoying as hell.
Yeah.
And the reason I know that is because Kaneki is doing it right now.
That's fair.
Because
Kaneki also hinders you when he does it.
That's true. And Chucky's
I wonder if Kaneki's pallet vault wouldn't be that bad if he didn't hinder you.
Kaneki's power level's a weird one because I think the hinder is probably more problematic than the actual like vault speed.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing too because again, like since Chucky's been released, we've had other killers that have attempted the scamper thing in different ways.
Yeah.
Kaneki, Vecna's had it. Technically, depending on who you ask, Howlmaster had it. She had a four-legged Chucky walking around with her. Because the thing is, I've talked to, because a lot of people in my comment sections will often say, like, manual scamper could have worked if they did this, this, and that. My only argument against that is there's a certain point where you have to ask yourself, is it worth the headache to try to horseshoe balance this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like,
I mean, my stance. I don't think Chucky should have ever been a fucking dash killer to begin with, but that's neither here nor there.
well, there's a lot of people right now I've seen who think that Heidi Ho and Slice and Dice should be two separate abilities because that would allow for more balancing levers on him, even though I think at the moment he's perfectly fine. I think he's in the best spot he's ever been in from both sides, and I think it took a year to get there, but he's there.
Yeah. I think if you made him two separate abilities, it'd just be a headache.
The general thought process behind it is to make it so he has more decisions to make.
Yeah.
Which I'm all for, but like I just think it overcomplicates it. I like it being on one cooldown because it allows for, because there's a skill floor and ceiling to knowing when to pop it and when not to.
Yeah.
Because it's all tied to one ability. On top, that's not even counting like the whole like he laughs when he's undetectable, so when he's in power he laughs. Knowing the exact range of Slice and Dice, when to pop it, knowing how to double tap, the fact that when you M1 you lose 50% of the power gauge, the total, not the current. So if you're at 75% of your power gauge, you'll be at 25%, and that includes the wipe animation. So you have to take that into account for a double tap. So like there's still like a skill floor and skill ceiling there. It's just a lot of the stuff with Chucky is just a lot of it's like under the hood and stuff like no one would notice unless you tell them. Honestly his biggest problem as far as like the skill expression with him goes, in my opinion. It's even like Chuck spots, like they don't look that impressive, and they really, technically speaking, they're not that impressive, especially like whenever I do like post videos on them. 9 times out of 10 it's because the survivor made a mistake. This is true, but the skill is knowing when a survivor is going to make that mistake to be able to waste the time to do it.
Stand still, tech, go burr.
And knowing that you shouldn't be undetectable I see so many people try it when they're undetectable, and I'm like, dude, they know you're there. They can hear you laughing.
I do it when I'm undetectable because too many survivors look for the red stain.
That's why you hold a 45-degree angle.
I'm gonna pretend I know how to do that.
Also, fun fact I learned, because I didn't even know this for a while. Spine chill, funny enough, only works on Chucky's model. It's not his camera.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know why it's coded that way, but it's interesting to think about. Because I think Wolfworm is coded very similarly. But yeah, it's like, do I think, again, I think Manual Scamper could work in like this perfect universal world where we test like 20 different versions of it, but I don't think it's worth the time and effort to do it. I think where he is fine. Yeah. And it's just, again, even if it was perfect, people would still complain about it. So I don't think we're already seeing that with Mage-Hand and Kaneki. So like, I just would rather just keep him how he is.
Yeah.
Also, I would like my killer to not change every 6 months. Can we just leave
I remember
him?
Lilith kept trying to make a fucking guide for Blight, and then they would change him and he'd have to start over. And one day he posted a tweet. He was like, would y'all leave him the fuck alone, please?
Me and Ghost both, like, we DM'd each other during the last change in November. We were like, I'm done. Like, me and him, we both got through a guide. We were both like mine was like 9 pages long. His was like a whole like it was as long as Bran the Mr. Headaches on Xenomorph. And we were like, yes, we're finally done. This is great. This is good. The next fucking day, they changed him. And we were just like, you know what? I'm done. I'm gonna wait.
Yeah, see, my character hasn't been touched for like
Uh,
damn near fucking almost like 9 to 10 months. So I'm good.
yeah, I mean, getting back to the strength debate. I mean, Vecna, like even like if you consider him A tier or whatever, like he's still like decently balanced, I would say.
Oh, he's chilling. Like,
Yeah,
despite the changes that I want to him, like his base kit and stuff, he's chilling. He doesn't actually need any changes. I would just like them.
yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that's a lot of that's a lot of like the B and A tier killers, right? A lot of them are just like they don't really need anything. It'd just be nice.
Yeah, yeah. Vecna doesn't need anything. I would just, if I could ask for one change, only one change, it would be to have him start with his spells off cooldown. Other than that, I'm perfectly fine.
There is a small quality of life change, and I want this on Night too, but I don't think it'll ever happen. I do want the HUD to be updated so you can see the cooldowns without having to pull them up. But that'll probably never happen. And that's like the dumbest change, and I know it like really doesn't change anything. It's just a me thing.
What do you mean?
So like
whenever you hold down control on Vecna, it shows the cooldowns of every spell.
yeah, I'm just saying I wish I didn't have to do that. I wish they would just be on the screen somewhere.
Oh, for Vecna, that doesn't matter as much because you should be constantly cycling spells.
Right.
So you're going to be pulling that menu up like 100 times a match regardless. So, but Knight, yeah, I agree. Knight could probably benefit from like little mini portraits that show, like everybody who's like not watching the screen right now. If you look at the gameplay, how Freddy has 3 different boxes to show like his teleport and stuff like that. You could do that for Knight. Have 3 different boxes with the 2 smaller ones being his other guards. I don't see why that. Why that would be a problem.
Let Pixie draw the icons too. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. Just let Pixie take over the development of Knight. We'll get a skin with Knight and nothing but a fucking bikini thong soon enough. Honestly,
I don't know if this has been fully confirmed, but not at least for the Western side of it. But apparently, Behavior did do Japanese exclusive skins for content creators.
See, I don't understand why we don't have a better content creator program with Behavior. Like, I'm talking like creator codes and fucking like skins related to creators, content creators, and stuff like that. Like, the Fog Whisperers get like 3 codes to give away new chapters, and like that's it. That's all we really see. And then the King gets access to like interviewing the developers. But like, I can tell you right now, I don't know about you, but me personally, like with how tightly my community is together, if I had a creator code, they would use it all the time.
It could just be something small. Like, it doesn't even have to be a full skin. They could do what Rainbow Six did with charms.
Yeah.
Like, if you get like to a certain like prestige or something, like not prestige, but like if you get to it, I mean prestige in the sense of the actual word, not the mechanic in the game.
Yeah.
If you get to a certain prestige as a creator, and Behavior notices you or whatever, you get like a little charm you can give your community. Like,
yeah,
like that would be something really nice they could do. That wouldn't be
that would be tight. You could like wear a charm that represents who you are as a creator. Yeah,
that could be something. Because again, and from what I understand, and again, this is from inklings of my informants, I don't know specifics, but there are plans to do something similar to that in the coming months. We'll probably hear more about it in May, from what I understand, because that's when they're also talking about Twitch shirts again.
Yeah, I am looking forward to that.
Yeah, because I know you said like FNAF was going to be the biggest drop, but like everything coming around the anniversary this year apparently is going to be fucking massive. It's going to be game changing.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like the gameplay itself, but like the game as a whole. It again, this is going to be the best year for Dead by Daylight. I don't care what anyone says. It's already like shaping up that way, like for real.
Yeah, like year 8 was amazing. I can't wait to see what happens in year 9.
I mean, people can argue about like whether or not Ken fits into the video game or not, but like the numbers he
They can
drew
argue,
in,
but the arguments are fucking stupid. I'm gonna be completely real with you. You know what I've noticed? I'm gonna do a video on this too. Every time I say something, I'm gonna do a video on it. It's coming, I promise. Anyway, something I've noticed is that if something isn't a slasher or like a monster, it doesn't belong in DVD. Immediately pops up. Like immediately. Like it's like half this community just wants them to just do nothing but slashers. How many times can we get guy with a knife? It was annoying fucking 3 releases ago.
How many are left?
Yeah.
That's my argument. How many are fucking... It's like Candyman, Jason, and... a Predator, if you want to stretch the definition, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, and again...
I am happy that we got an anime adaptation, because that means we are one step closer to having Berserk in DVD. And I will tell you this right now, and I don't care if it's not a horror anime, but if they ever put One Piece cosmetics in this game, my wallet will be empty. I will be sucking dick on the street to afford One Piece cosmetics.
I don't have a Dream license anymore because both of mine are in, but I'm just saying that a League of Legends Fiddlestick skin for this game would be the best fucking thing they've ever done. It would be the biggest collab of all time. People can shit on League of Legends all they want, but it's the biggest video game on the planet. But
outside of Minecraft.
Yeah, okay, but Minecraft is flint and steel. Okay, I'm hip. Okay. What was I what was I saying before I said the most cringe thing of my entire life? Yeah, I mean, Scooby-Doo is like one I bring up all the time. I talked for 8 hours with Crow about this. You know, Scooby-Doo is one that people bring up all the time, and I'm like, oh, so that fits, but Tokyo Ghoul doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Keep telling yourself that.
I think this community is just too fucking uptight. They gatekeep horror too much.
And to be fair, it's weird too because the horror community is often pretty some of the most chill. Well, depending on which sections you're in, but for the most part, some of the most chill people I've ever met.
Yeah, I'm gonna be completely real with you. I think the reason that so much of this community quote gatekeeps what is and isn't horror is because most of this community isn't horror fans. They're fans of Dead by Daylight.
Yeah, and that's influenced what they think horror is.
Yeah, so they have a very like narrow view of what horror is, and that's why they're so gatekeepy about it.
No, it makes it. I've definitely seen it, and this isn't anything against any guests I've had on here, but you know, the ones who say they've never really like watched horror movies that much, you can definitely tell.
Yeah.
Again, nothing against them. It's that they weren't rude about it or anything. It's just there are some people in the community that just make no fucking sense with their logic. That's all I'm saying. It's like Ghostbusters doesn't or fits, but fucking again, Tokyo Ghoul doesn't for some reason. Castlevania doesn't fit because it's a Metroidvania game. Okay. Ridley could be added to this game.
Even though Castlevania was the original horror game.
Yeah, pretty much. When they said, I mean, Ghouls and Goblins technically was like one of the very first, and like
yeah. Ghouls and Goblins would go kind of hard, actually.
I still think we need more horror comedies in Dead by Daylight. We kind of got it a bit with Chucky, but like I definitely think we could press that envelope a little bit more.
Yep. I'm also going to tell you that you're running out of videos in that playlist, so.
I got you. What was I going to say? Speaking of horror adaptations, this is probably one I can't really comment on too much, but how well do you think Vecna and the Troop were adapted?
Vecna and the Troop thematically are amazing. Vecna and this is something I was actually talking about because people were like, "Where's the blighted skin for Vecna?" And then some of my chat was like, "Well, would Vecna take the blighted serum?" And I said, it would be cool to do, very difficult to do, but cool. Vecna is a power hungry jackass. Mm-hmm. Like the whole reason he's even in the fall is because the entity was like, yo, I got some sweet power over here for you. And Vecna's arrogant ass was like, okay, I'll just pop in. And if I get tired, I'll just leave. Because Vecna thinks he could just do that to a multi-dimensional cosmic horror. So that's why he's here. So Talbot could convince Vecna to take the Blighted Serum the same way he convinced Wesker to do it, by telling Vecna that he would be more powerful if he took it. So in that term, Vecna was adapted amazingly. He's an arrogant, power-hungry dickhead. His lore makes sense. His themes make sense. Even like the fact that he gets an additional Mori for people who have artifacts, like when they get to their third hook stage, even that matches. Because like I don't know how much Vecna you've played, but when someone gets an artifact, he gets like really pissed the fuck off.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, that's not yours, brigands, thieves. Like he's pissed. So like that matters. Yeah, just thematically he was adapted well. The troop, like I said, was done well. I just wish we had more of them, because your average D&D party is like 5 to 6 people, right? And you're probably not getting 5 to 6 bards in the same D&D party, even though that would be hilarious. But I don't understand why we didn't have like 4 different races, right? Like we had the human and the elf. We could have had a tiefling, and then we could have had a dragonborn or a half orc, or if you didn't want to have the tails, half orcs would have been fine. Like we could have had more non-human survivors in the troop. But I feel like they just kind of copped out with it. But thematically, they're fine, right? The perks are all thematically on point. Even the dress, like the way that they dress, is good. Astri, she sings in the lobby. She does a little hum. She plays her lute. Like I think it's all fine. I think it was adapted incredibly well. Probably one of the best adaptations in the game outside of Myers. Honestly,
I think also them picking bards. Well, I know you mentioned like a full party wouldn't be bards, but I think that was the best choice, because it stops the criticisms of like Ada's like a martial artist expert.
Yeah,
like like it stops. Not to say bards can't fight. Again, as what little I know about D&D, they're not like defenseless, but like
they're mostly a support class unless you're a College of I'm too tired to think right now. There's one of the subclasses is like a sword swinger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and even like the idea of putting the mark on Vecna, which is something we could see on other characters.
Yep.
Yep. And then that leads a little bit into skins, because Vecna hasn't gotten too many skins recently. Or at all.
He doesn't have any fucking skins.
He's got 2, doesn't he?
He's got 2.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot to pull from, admittedly, with Vecna. He has shown up very, very rarely in terms of being illustrated. He is one of the biggest D&D villains out there. But I personally was incredibly shocked that he didn't come with a legendary Strahd skin or legendary Mind Flayer skin. I was so like blown away. Like I expected it, and he didn't have it. And I'm not going to say I'm mad, but the fact that I've only got 2 fucking outfits to choose from is kind of annoying. At least they're not linked, I guess.
Yeah. I struggle with that on a doll, the most malleable thing on the planet. Anyways, is there?
Are you loving how every fucking skin is linked on that goddamn doll?
I don't. Again, like I said, he's a doll. They're literally built to be like melded and molded, whatever. Does Vecna have a? What's the right word for this? Does he have a not undead version of himself? Is that a thing in D&D?
The closest thing would be the 3rd edition skin before he went fully lich. But no, as far as I know, we don't know what the human Vecna is like.
Okay.
Because as long as the game's been around, like from his first introduction, Vecna was always a Lich King, the Lich to end all Liches, the most powerful wizard in the D&D verse. As far as I know, there's a member of my community, I think Mazim, who knows either Mazim or Dimgar, who knows more than me about Vecna specifically. Because I am a Eberron Strahd fan, those are two different like settings. Because D&D has different settings. It has different worlds. Like Vecna does not exist in the same world that Strahd does. And then like Eberron is like a steampunk setting. Strahd is not in Eberron. It's called Ravencroft, I believe. So Vecna and the troop are technically from, I think they're the Feywilds. Those two are from a completely different setting than like other places, and I'm not familiar with that setting completely. I just know enough about Vecna to know that they adapted him very well.
And is that one skin you mentioned, is that honestly your only like dream skin you would want for him, or is there something else?
No, I actually hate the 3rd edition skin because it's too goddamn bulky.
Okay.
I prefer the candles. I prefer the candlestick skin to his. Now the 3rd edition Blade of Woe looks really sick. But honestly, I would just want them to add like I said, a Strahd skin would be sick. Mind Flayer skin would be sick, and they could even make those visceral skins. And I will pay you your $20 for an alternate Mori on Vecna. But yeah, I think more legendary skins would be cool, and then the troop, like I said, just more non-human survivors would be sick.
Do you think it will be possible, or do you even think anyone would want it if they did because I know a lot of people nowadays know D&D mostly from Stranger Things. Do you think it would be in good taste to do a Vecna skin from that show?
I don't know shit about Stranger Things.
Okay, fair enough. It's just
I don't particularly give a shit. Give me more stuff to put on my favorite killer, and I'll gladly buy it. But I think that it would be kind of hard to adapt that Vecna. From what I've seen, the Stranger Things Vecna is like this mountainous, like fucking Thanos looking dude.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you would make that a skin in this game, because our Vecna, the actual Vecna, is a very thin, like, floaty dude.
Fair enough.
With a big skirt that you can hear ruffle when you drop off of high ledges, by the way. You can literally hear it go. It's so funny.
You gave me shit for knowing decibels, all right? You know? Yeah, no, I think it could be something interesting, because then again, with their relationship with Stranger Things at the moment, I don't know how that would work out.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Fun fact:
I would like to see a D&D skin for Demogorgon, though.
Oh, that would be cool, actually. Huh. Fun fact, by the way, the original Freddy actor is in the Stranger Things show.
Robert Englund?
Yeah, he's in it.
I thought he was dead. I'm gonna be real with you.
No, he's not dead. He can't act anymore, but he's not dead. No, and it's funny. The Vecna in Stranger Things is more like Freddy than like the Vecna from the actual D&D.
Everybody tells me to watch Stranger Things, but I refuse to ever have a subscription as long as I live again.
Fair enough.
We're going to charge you more money. We're going to put ads even paying us, and then we're going to cancel every good show we've ever put out. Fuck you.
Last question, and this is this hopefully should be a shorter one, but maps are probably the most defining thing of any match in Dead by Daylight, as much as some people would disagree. Would you say Vecna is map dependent?
Hardly. He's not map dependent in the sense that he has bad maps necessarily. It's like his bad maps are basically every killer's bad maps. Bitch Ham, Garden of Jagovs,
Eerie,
Hawkins, I've never found Erie to be bad. Well, I found old Erie to be that bad. I think new Erie's fine. Though Dead Sands is kind of annoying. Because Vecna has such a good ability to deal with palettes, it's kind of hard to like have him be map dependent. But he is map dependent in the way that there are some maps that are just super fucking good for him. And these are maps that mostly have a lot of elevation, so he can do his elevation tech well. Dead Dog, I believe, wholeheartedly is his best map, because the shack is on a higher elevation than the rest of the ground outside. So you can just stand outside the shack, send Flight of the Damned inside, and you're gonna hit like 99% of the time. Like they just can't dodge it because it's too small. And yeah, you get the elevation tech. Surprisingly, Rancid Police Dicks is a pretty decent map for Vecna. And then I'm still deciding if Swamp is a good map for him, because you can do elevation techs a lot on Swamp, but it's so fucking big that they have a lot of room to dodge, so it's not necessarily that good for him. So yeah, but there's no maps that he's really that bad on because he just has too many tools to deal with things. And so I think that a lot of people really, like, I saw one of your chatters saying that Tile heavy or resource heavy, because the insta-tech exists and Flight of the Damned can go through walls, he actually doesn't care that much as you think he does. Being able to spawn skeletons directly on top of survivors and knowing how to do it consistently will absolutely take survivors by surprise. I will say that Leary's is pretty bad for him, but Leary's is bad for most killers. Because for whatever reason, behavior was like, have a bunch of safe windows. Have a bunch of safe pallets as well. Here's a bunch of god loops.
Have the entire match determined by the fact that a door didn't spawn here.
Yeah. Fucking. Oh my god, dude. Leary's is like, I see people all the time that are like, Swamp needs to be reworked. When does the Swamp rework? I'm like, that is like the bottom of my concerns. There are so many much worse maps in this fucking game than Swamp, dude.
I'd agree with you. I don't even think Erie's as bad as some people say it is. I think it's fine.
Yeah. It's Leary's, Garden of Jagovs, Batum, all of those need to be looked at. Garden of Jagovs needs to be looked at again. Since the last time they looked at it, they were like, yeah, here, have one breakable door. We fixed it.
Have it. Also, here's a god palette that sometimes is a god palette and sometimes isn't. So I know I said last question, but there are a couple more from my Discord. I swear it's only two and a third one.
Tell your Discord to suck my dick. No, I'm kidding.
So from Council, you didn't really go too deep into this, but how add-on do you think Vecna is add-on reliant?
No. Okay. His best add-ons, the Pearl of Power and Spell Storing Ring, are, even though they are his best, I would put them in the S tier for add-ons. He doesn't need them. You notice a difference when you use them, but once you understand how to use your spells, you're not reliant on them, and you have a lot more freedom. He's got some trash ones, but you can play add-on-less Vecna and perform pretty well.
And then from Archie, who is our other resident Vecna main, do you have a favorite?
Archie me Bob.
do you have a favorite voice line from Vecna?
Oh, that's hard. Oh my god, he's got so many ones that just make me fucking laugh.
I did want to ask you, how do you feel about Matt Mercer voicing him?
Oh my god, I love it. Matt Mercer's my second, well, now third favorite voice actor. I'm sorry, Matt. So my favorite voice actor of all time is Keith. My fucking brain.
Keith David?
Yeah, Keith David.
Oh, okay.
My brain shut off. Holy shit! It's almost midnight. Yeah, Keith David is my favorite voice actor of all time, which is one of the reasons that Huck's my favorite character in Has Been Hotel. And also Husker's just hilarious. But Keith David is my favorite voice actor. And then there's this woman who narrates audiobooks named Marion Hussey. Amazing voice actress. Like, I mean, top tier voice actress. Just everything she narrates, you feel everything she's saying. And then Matt Mercer is my third favorite. But before I discovered Marion Hussey, he was my second favorite. But yeah, I loved it. When it got revealed Matt Mercer was voicing Vecna, I was like, perfect. Chef's kiss. But so yeah, voice lines, it's so hard to pick a favorite one, because like they've all got that Mercer charm where they're just over the top as hell for no fucking reason. Like like I said, when someone steals his hand, he's like, "That's not yours. No, stop." And I'm like, "Calm down, bro. It's not that serious." He's got here's my favorite fact about Vecna. When he says impossible geometry, that's a reference to Overwatch. So in Overwatch, Hanzo, the characters Hanzo and Moira both say impossible geometry. I don't know if Hanzo says it anymore, ever since they took away his scatter arrow, but those were voice lines from Overwatch, and Matt Mercer voices Cassidy in Overwatch. So the impossible geometry that Vecna says is a reference to Matt Mercer voicing a character in Overwatch, which is really funny.
Speaking of Overwatch, do you know the little fun fact about Dracula?
That's Winston's voice actor, right?
Yes, it's Winston's voice actor, which is hilarious to me.
Yeah. But yeah, I would say if I had to pick a favorite voice line, it would probably be when Vecna says, "I require a sacrifice," because he always says it at the dumbest fucking times. Like he'll either say it when like everybody is basically dead, or he'll say it when like the game is over and you've killed no one. And it'll just be like, "Yeah, of course you require a sacrifice. We didn't win, asshole." Like, I talk back to Vecna all the time. But yeah, no. If I had to pick a favorite, it would probably be "I require a sacrifice," because it's always just the worst fucking, the worst timing with that damn voice line.
For most people, it's the poor, decrepit souls.
Yeah, he doesn't say it in game, but yeah, the from the trailer, "Poor decrepit souls."
It's so good. My favorite voice actor, by the way, is Damian Clark.
I don't know if I know him. I mean, I probably have heard him before.
He does.
What's he voice?
Handsome Jack from Borderlands.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
He also did. League of Legends voice actors are weird because they go unlisted. You just have to know. He also voices Rakan in League of Legends.
Yeah, no. Handsome Jack is one of the most irritating villains in video games.
It's so good. I love him so much.
My Borderlands 2 review never made it to the surface, but honestly, I don't understand the appeal of Handsome Jack. People are like, "Oh, he's funny because he's a sociopath," and I'm like, everybody in this fucking video game franchise is a sociopath. They're all fucking crazy.
He's just a lovable asshole. I don't know.
I don't love him. I think he's fucking aggravating. Quit calling me up every 2 seconds to call me a dickhead.
Listen, I gotta type. Let me have my type, okay? Archie has one more question. Vecna has a lot of techs and tricks, but possibly one of the most hidden is the infamous Hawk Orba. In order to perform this technique, you need to input a very special sequence. When using Dispelling Sphere, the Hawk Orba will refer to as Hawk for convenience, will be 50% larger and detect survivors for longer. If you have ever used this tech, how useful have you found sending the Hawk to a gen?
I think I'm going to ban Archie Bob from
Very
everything related to me. Like, I think he's blocked on everything social media wise, and banned from my Twitch and my YouTube. And I will no longer be doing saying his name in a Mr. voice as punishment for subjecting me to that shit. So yeah. That's what
So,
I think about that one.
so on that depressing note, yeah, I just want to thank you for coming by. I know it doesn't seem like
Yeah.
much, but yeah, you've done these with the conversations by daylight.
Mhm.
Giving me any amount of time, any amount of your time for these is just it means the world.
Yeah, of course.
And
I needed a break from studying for my insurance exam.
how's that
That
going,
shit
by
is,
the way?
dude. It's fucking boring as fuck, dude. And they got three names for everything. Like every other sentence in this fucking course. I'm taking the course. And every other sentence that in this course that I'm using to study for is like yeah, the gobbledygook, which could also be referred to as the penis enlargement or the shit poo, is normally enacted whenever the consumer, or could also be called the sucker or the ball tingler, enacts the policy that is found over here, which is called the jump off a bridge policy or the go fuck yourself if you're feeling like, can we just give everything one name? Holy fuck.
You know,
Oh my god, I hate it.
when I was in the military and I had to learn acronyms during air assault school, oh my fucking god! There's like 60 different acronyms for like every type of like
Yeah,
knots.
dude,
That like
yeah.
it's insane.
Yeah, I'm after we're done here, I'm gonna go to sleep and then I'm gonna get back on this shit tomorrow because I'm 5 chapters out of 20 in and I'm fucking tired.
Well,
It's taken me all day to get through 5 chapters, not because they're long, but because I have to keep rereading shit. Because my dyslexic ass is like, wait, what? What do you mean?
well, in that case, I will let you go get your sleep. But again, if you want to plug anything, by the way, now's the time.
Yeah, go to my main channel and listen to my horror stories.
It'll be linked. Everything will be linked below. But Kaiser, I'll let you go. Everyone listening on the
Yep.
YouTubes, I love you guys as always. Have a good one, and yeah, bye.